everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. We are so thrilled to be here in our cozy studio, ready to dive into another country comparison for you all on YouTube.
Hey listeners, Leo here. And yes, Mira and I are back, hopefully funnier than ever, or at least funnier than last week's attempt.
Come on. Leo, you were hilarious last week. But seriously, before we jump into today's topic, I have to tell you about something that happened to me just yesterday. It was so typically me and so, well, weather-related.
Oh no, here we go. Prepare yourselves, folks, for another Mira mishap story. Let me grab my coffee. Go on, Mira, and lighten us with your latest adventure.
Okay, so picture this, I'm walking down the street, right? Thinking it's a lovely day, maybe a bit cloudy, but nothing serious. I even thought, ooh, maybe I don't need my umbrella today. Famous last words for it?
Oh, I can see where this is going. Did the sky decide to personally attack you with rain?
1 minute. I'm humming a happy tune, feeling all optimistic, and the next PM, it's like the heavens opened decided to give me a surprise shower. And not just a little drizzle. No, a full-on, dramatic downpour.
Let me guess, you were dressed in your best sunshine yellow outfit, weren't you? Perfectly coordinated for a sudden monsoon.
You know me too well, Leo. Maybe not sunshine yellow, but it was a cute summer dress. Anyway, I'm caught in this crazy rain looking around for shelter, and the only thing I could find was a tiny little bus stop.
Ah, the classic British bus stop experience? Designed for maybe, what, to people in the very small dog.
So there I am, crammed into this bus stop with about 10 other people, all trying to avoid becoming completely soaked. We were like sardines in a very damp, slightly metallic can.
And I bet everyone was giving each other that classic British weather-knowing look. The kind that says, well, this is our life now.
Oh, absolutely. Lots of eye rolling in size. But the funny part, the rain stopped like 5 minutes later. Just as suddenly as it started, the sun peeked out, and it was like the whole thing was just a big joke played by the weather gods.
Welcome to the UK, Mira, where the weather has a better sense of humor than most stand-up comedians. Oh!
Seriously. I just stood there dripping and started laughing. What else can you do? It was just so perfectly ridiculous.
Well, at least you provided some free entertainment for your fellow bus stop sardines. Look, it's the crazy lady laughing at the rain. That's probably what they were thinking.
Probably. But hey, at least I got a good story out of it, right? And now we can share it with all our listeners on YouTube. So, if you're watching and you've ever been caught in a sudden downpour, give this video a like. Let us know we're not alone in our weather-related woes.
All right. Enough about your near-drowning experience. Let's actually get to what people tune in for today, shall we? Speaking of countries with interesting weather, and much more, we are comparing distinct places this time.
Alrighty. Podcast pals, let's jump into something a tad serious, but we'll keep it light as H, promise. We're chatting general safety and crime rates today, comparing the UK and the US. It's like asking, where are you less likely to have your biscuits nicked?
Biscuits nicked. Mira always with the biscuits. But yeah, safety and crime, crucial stuff. Especially if you're thinking of, not getting into a pickle abroad. Let's see if one of these countries is like a cozy village and the other is straight out of a Wild West movie.
Okay, so picture this, you're wandering around London, maybe near Buckingham Palace, hoping to bump into the King. Generally, you feel pretty safe, right? Like, maybe a rogue pigeon might attack your chips, but not much else.
Pigeons are indeed a menace in London, more dangerous than any pickpocket, I swear. But yeah, the UK, especially in touristy bits, feels generally safe for strolling around. Though, don't get too comfy. Crime exists everywhere, even where they serve tea and crumpets.
It's not all sunshine and rainbows, even in the UK. Like, big cities anywhere, you gotta watch out for the usual suspects, petty theft, someone trying to swipe your phone while you're busy admiring a red telephone box.
Red telephone boxes, now those are historical crime scenes. How many dodgy phone calls have been made from those things? But seriously, petty theft is a universal tourist souvenir, sadly. Keep your wallet close, whether you're in London or Los Angeles.
And speaking of Los Angeles, let's hop across the pond to the US. It's a huge place. Right. Safety levels can be, like, wildly different depending on where you are. Like, Beverly Hills probably feels different than, say, parts of Detroit, right?
Wildly different is putting it mildly, Mira. The US is like 50 mini countries stitched together safety-wise. You can go from feeling like you're in a Disney movie to a horror flick in, like a state border crossing.
Maybe not horror flick. But you get the picture. In the US, you really gotta do your homework on specific cities and neighborhoods. Like, is this area known for friendly squirrels or something else?
I think that we can conquer that. Friendly squirrels. I wish. More like, is this area known for car chases or just regular traffic jams? The US crime stats are definitely higher overall than the UK's, especially for violent crime. It's a bit of a sobering fact, isn't it?
It is. But let's not paint with too broad a brush, right? The US is massive and complex. There are tons of super safe, lovely communities too. It's not all sirens and tumbleweeds blowing down Main Street.
Tumbleweeds in Main Street? Now you're just channeling old westerns, Mira. Me. But point is channeling old westerns, Mira? But point taken. America's got its safe havens, absolutely. Just maybe a slightly wider range of safety levels than the UK. From super duper safe to, well, less so.
And less so indeed. And what about types of crime? Are we talking similar stuff for different flavors of trouble in the UK versus the US? Like, do they have different signature crimes?
Signature crimes. Love it, Mira. For the UK, maybe signature crime is sophisticated art theft? Think heist movies set in London museums. For the US, maybe signature crime is some bigger, bolder bank robberies. More guns involved, statistically speaking, sadly. Ouch.
It's definitely something to be aware of. The gun situation in the US. It plays a role in crime rates. No doubt. In the UK, guns are much less common, right?
Night and day difference, Mira. UK gun control is way stricter. You're more likely to see someone with an umbrella than a handgun, which, in London weather, makes total sense.
Umbrella crime, now that's a British signature crime I can get behind. Getting poked in the eye by a rogue umbrella in a crowd. But back to serious-ish. What about cultural factors? Does culture play a role in safety in each place?
Culture always plays a role, Mira. In the UK, there's maybe a stronger sense of community policing in some areas, a bit more lookout for your neighbor vibe. In the US, individualism is huge, which can be great, but maybe less community watch sometimes?
That's an interesting point. And maybe in the UK, there's more CCTV everywhere? Those cameras are watching you for your safety, of course? Are they as prevalent in the US?
US's cameras galore too, especially in cities, but maybe not quite the same level of blanket coverage as in some parts of the UK. It's that whole privacy versus security debate which both countries wrestle with. Aha!
Debates. Always someone watching us right now on YouTube and thinking UK or US for my next adventure. What's the quick safety takeaway? For Jet Alfea readers too, thinking of relocating.
Quick takeaway, both are generally safe places for tourists and expats, especially in major cities. UK feels maybe a notch safer overall in terms of violent crime. US requires a bit more location awareness and street smarts, especially in bigger cities. And maybe avoid those tumbleweed-filled main streets Mira mentioned.
Hey, tumbleweeds have their charm. But yes, basic safety smarts apply everywhere. Be aware of your surroundings. Don't flash valuables at jazz. And maybe in the US, double check those neighborhood crime stats before you book your Airbnb. Ooh?
Solid advice, Mira. And maybe pack an umbrella if you're UK bound, just in case of pigeon attacks or umbrella-related assaults. Okay, safety chat done. Feeling slightly less safe just talking about crime, actually. Let's move on to something cheerier, shall we?
Agreed. Let's talk about something that won't make us check our pockets every 5 seconds. Perhaps economic vibes. Let's see which country is easier on the wallet. Ooh. Okay, yo, so we're diving into political stability and social harmony now, comparing the UK and the US. Buckle up, because this could be a bumpy ride.
Bumpy ride is right, Mira. More like a roller coaster designed by committee, if you ask me. Political stability in the UK and US.
Well, starting with the UK, they've got the whole monarchy thing, right? Seems pretty stable, in a crown jewels and Corgis kind of way. Oh.
Corgis are definitely a stabilizing force, I agree. But beneath the royal icing, there's always been a bit of political pudding wrestling, hasn't there? Be our exit, anyone?
Oh boy, that was like the whole country decided to have a massive food fight at the dinner table. But hey, they're still standing. Plates might be broken, but the house is still there. Optimism, Leo. Optimism. Leo. Optimism.
Optimism is good, Mira, but let's not forget the Scottish wanting to pack their bags and move to a different dinner party altogether. And Northern Ireland's still figuring out which table they're supposed to be at. Harmony. Debatable.
It's not all sunshine and rainbows and perfectly brewed tea. But compare that to the US. They've got the whole to-party system, which sometimes feels more like two families shouting across the Thanksgiving table. Wow.
Thanksgiving table shouting is an understatement, Mira. More like a cage match with turkey legs as weapons. Political stability in the US feels like it's hanging on by a thread, especially during election years. Whoa.
Election years in the US are like a reality TV show where the prize is running the most powerful country in the world. The drama, the suspense. You almost need popcorn to watch it unfold.
Popcorn and maybe a stiff drink, Mira. Because while the UK has its polite political disagreements over tea and biscuits, the US seems to go straight for the jugular. Social harmony takes a bit of a beating in the process. Ouch.
But you know, in both countries, daily life mostly keeps humming along, right? People still go to work, grab a pint after work, complain about the weather. That's a kind of social harmony, isn't it?
True. The pubs in the UK and the bars in the US are still packed, no matter who's yelling on TV. Maybe social harmony is just everyone agreeing to disagree over a drink.
It's like, okay, politicians are doing their thing in their fancy buildings, but we're just gonna carry on with our lives. Thanks very much. Resilience. That's what it is.
Resilience or maybe just learned helplessness. Oh, another political drama? Pass the crisps, please? But you're right, life goes on, even if the news is screaming about impending doom.
And think about the social fabric, Leah. Both the UK and the US are melting pots, right? Okay, maybe the US is a giant spicy gumbo and the UK is more of a, well, seasoned stew, but still diverse. Wah, wah.
Stew and gumbo. I like that. Both bubbling with different ingredients, sometimes flashing, sometimes flavorful together. The US has that raw, in-your-face diversity, while the UK is maybe a bit more reservedly diverse.
It's like, in the UK, they'll keep politely even if they disagree, while in the US, they might just start a passionate debate right there in the line.
Passionate debate is code for loud argument, Mira. But that's part of the charm, isn't it? The US is a bit more vocal about everything. Good and bad.
Vocal is one word for it. But that energy, that willingness to speak your mind, that's part of the social harmony too, in a way. It's like, we might yell at each other, but we're all in this together. Oh.
Or we might yell at each other, but at least we're yelling in the same language mostly. Language harmony is a whole other topic, Mira.
Don't even get me started on accents. Trying to understand someone from different parts of the UK or the US and feel like learning a whole new language sometimes. Whoa.
True that. Social harmony is also about tolerating different accents. And in both countries, you get a whole symphony of them. From Cockney to Californian, it's quite a range.
So, political stability and social harmony. Maybe it's less about perfect agreement and more about managing disagreements with a bit of humor and a stiff upper lip, or a really good burger depending on which side of the pond you are.
Burgers and biscuits, Mira. The true cornerstones of political and social stability. And maybe a healthy dose of sarcasm to get us through the day. Speaking of which,
You've been remarkably restrained today, Leo. Are you feeling alright? But seriously, if people want to dive deeper into this, they can always check out Jet Off AI for more country comparisons, right?
absolutely, Jet Off AI is the place to go if you want to avoid my sarcasm and get actual facts. And if you're enjoying our less factual facts. And if you're enjoying our less factual, more comedically insightful approach, don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube.
Yes. Please like and subscribe. It helps us keep the podcast stable, even if the politics aren't always. And who knows? Maybe we'll even discuss Kyrgyz in a future episode. Boom.
Kyrgyz and political stability, there's a podcast title right there. Until then, folks, stay harmoniously sarcastic, or sarcastically harmonious. Whatever works.
All right, Leo. Let's dive into the land of pounds and dollars, shall we? We're talking about wallets today, specifically how much lighter they might feel in the UK versus the US.
Wallet weight, Mira? Is that a new metric we're using now? I thought we were talking economics, not personal finance fitness. But yeah, let's see which country will send you into debt faster. Ah,
Come on, Leo. It's all about perspective. Think of it as financial wellness. Oh, but seriously, for anyone thinking of hopping across the pond, knowing where their money will stretch further is kind of a big deal, right?
kind of. Mira, for most people, it's the deal. Unless you're planning to live off errand compliments, the cost of living is pretty crucial. Wow! And believe me, compliments don't pay rent in London or New York.
True. Though, maybe if you're charming enough. But okay, let's get real. The UK, especially London, has a reputation for being, shall we say, ouch on the bank account. Ouch.
Ouch is polite, Mira. Let's be honest, London prices are like they're personally trying to fund the royal family's next vacation. Whoa, you pay more for a shoebox apartment than you would for a decent house in, say, Ohio.
Oh, heyo. See, there's the US advantage, right? Space. And maybe slightly less royal vacation funding. I hear you can get a mansion in some parts of the US for the price of a London flat, where you can touch the walls with both arms outstretched.
If you can find a job in that part of the US, Mira. Don't forget, the American dream often comes with a hefty commute. And then there's the whole healthcare lottery thing in the US. Oops.
Ah yes, healthcare. That's the big one, isn't it? In the UK, you've got the NHS supposedly free at the point of use. Sounds dreamy, right?
Dreamy if you enjoy waiting. And I mean really enjoy waiting. Try getting a non-emergency appointment in a timely manner. You might grow a beard before you see a doctor.
Okay, kiss aside, at least you know you won't end up bankrupt if you break a leg. Ouch. Whereas in the US, breaking a leg could also break your everything else. Whoa.
True. US healthcare costs are like a horror movie you never know when they'll jump out and scare you senseless with a bill. Even with insurance, you can still be staring down a deductible that's bigger than your monthly rent. Yikes.
So swings and round it out, right? Higher day-to-day costs in the UK, potentially terrifying healthcare costs in the US. It's like choosing between being slowly nibbled to death by squirrels or facing a surprise bear attack.
Nicely put, Mira. Squirrel nibbles versus bear hugs. Financially speaking, of course. And don't forget taxes. The UK takes a bigger chunk of your paycheck upfront, but then, theoretically, things like public transport are a bit more functional.
Functional is a kind word for the two-bat rush hour, Leo. But yeah, public transport in London, when it's not on strike, is pretty extensive. Ooh, in the US, unless you're in a few specific cities, you're basically married to your car.
Married to your car and divorced from your savings thanks to gas prices and insurance. Plus, parking in US cities. Don't even get me started. It's like they charge you by the square millimeter of asphalt you occupy.
Okay, so maybe neither country is exactly a budget paradise. But for job opportunities, I hear the US can be a bit more dynamic. Wow. More go-getter vibes?
Dynamic and go-getter also translates to longer hours on less vacation time, Mira. Aha! The US work culture's intense. You practically live at the office to prove you're dedicated. In the UK, they're a bit more about tea breaks.
Tea breaks. There's an economic advantage I hadn't considered. More tea breaks, more productivity, clearly. Oh, we should mention this on our Gen of AI article. Leo tea breaks, the secret economic engine of the UK.
I can see the headline now. Jedoff AI reveals shocking truth. G breaks boost GD. But seriously, job markets US has a broader range of industries, maybe more opportunities in tech and finance, depending on where you look.
And the UK is strong in finance too. And creative industries, right? London's a global hub for, well, everything. Almost. Wow. Except maybe affordable housing. Oops.
Except affordable housing, sunshine, and maybe decent pizza. Just kidding, UK listeners. Mostly kidding. But yeah, for specific careers, one country might have an edge over the other. It really depends on your field.
Bottom line on economics and cost of living? Neither the UK nor the US is going to hand you a free winning lottery ticket. You gotta hustle, wherever you are.
Exactly, Mira. Hustle budget, and maybe learn to love instant coffee to save a few pounds or dollars. And definitely check out Genoff AI for more practical tips on making your money stretch further, wherever you decide to land.
And maybe pack a really big suitcase for all those bargains we'll supposedly find. On that note, shall we move on to our next topic? Our current topic, we compare accommodation options and quality into countries, revealing what expats can expect from housing markets. From rental digs to buying your dream home, right?
Oh, Mira, a jungle is polite. It's more like a housing game show where you get a cardboard box or a castle, depending on your budget and which side of the pond we're talking about.
So, let's kick off with the UK, shall we? Think cozy cottages, maybe a bit drafty, but utterly charming. You know? Places where the walls are stories, probably involving a ghost or two? Oh!
Ghosts come standard in UK homes, apparently. In the US, we offer newly built, which often means thin walls and questionable plumbing. But hey, at least your ghost will be a recent one.
True. Fresh ghosts. In the UK, you've got everything from those quaint terraced houses in cities to sprawling countryside estates. If you're royalty or, you know, won the lottery.
And in the US, growing is the key word. We invented the McMansion, big on size, maybe not always on soul. You can get a house the size of a small European village, but it might be 3 hours from the nearest decent coffee shop.
Coffee is vital, Leo. But back to the UK, rentals are super common, especially in cities like London. Expect to pay a pretty penny, though, for something that might be smaller than your walk-in closet in a US house. Oops.
Walk-in closet, luxury in some London flats. The kitchen is a cupboard and the garden is a window box. In the US, we have walk-in closets the size of London flats. It's all about perspective, folks.
But UK homes, even if older, often have this amazing character. Think fireplaces, original features, it's like living in a period drama, minus the costs. Hopefully.
Unless you're into course, Mira, no judgment. US homes, especially newer ones, are all about modern conveniences, which translates to everything looks the same. Cookie cutter houses, anyone.
Sounds efficient. But seriously, in the UK, you'll find a real mix. From super modern city apartments to those classic brick houses that just scream British wow.
And in the US, you can choose your adventure. City condos, suburban ranches, mountain cabins, beach houses, we've got the real estate buffet of nations. Just prepare for HOA fees and property taxes. Ouch!
HOA fees sounds like another layer of bureaucracy. But in the UK, you also deal with council tax, so swings and roundabouts.
Swings and roundabouts and endless paperwork. Whether it's council tax in the UK or property tax in the UK or property tax in the US. Uncle Sam and his British cousin want their cut.
Always. But quality-wise, both countries have their ups and downs. UK homes can be a bit older, so you might face drafts and quirks. But solid construction usually. Ah,
US quality varies wildly. Some new builds are, let's say, economical. Older homes can have charm, but also surprise plumbing bills. It's a gamble either way.
a housing lottery. So, if you're watching this on YouTube and planning a move, do your research. And maybe pack a toolkit just in case.
Definitely research. And check out JetOff AI for more tips on settling into a new country. We're here to help you navigate the housing maze, hopefully without getting lost in a tiny London flat or a giant US suburb.
So whether you dream of a thatched cottage or a sprawling ranch, both the UK and US offer options. Just maybe different kinds of options. Ooh.
Different kinds of options and different kinds of ghosts. But hey, that's part of the adventure, right? Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this property roller coaster.
Alright, Leo. Buckle up, Buttercup, because we're diving into the thrilling world of paperwork. Oh, these and official procedures sounds like a party, right? But seriously, folks thinking about a move probably want to know which country will make them jump through fewer hoops.
Hoops. Mira, with some of these visa processes, it's more like flaming rings of fire you have to leap through while juggling paperwork and reciting Shakespeare backwards. And today we're talking about the Ukaians and the making you feel like you're begging for entry Olympics.
Oh, come on, Leo. Don't be such a drama llama. It's not that bad, is it? Well, okay, maybe a little bad. But think of it as an adventure. Like an escape room, but instead of escaping a room, you're trying to escape visa bureaucracy. In the UK, it's all very orderly, isn't it? Like queuing for everything, even for official forms.
Orderly chaos, Mira. That's the British way. You stand in a politely formed queue for hours, only to be told you're in the wrong queue, but at least the person telling you is terribly sorry about it. With the UK, you get the impression they're very proper about everything, like filling out a visa form should be done with a quill pen and a stiff upper lip.
Cool pen visas. I love it. Imagine if they stamped your passport with a tiny crown and a pip cheerio. Message? Ah, but the US. That's a whole different ballgame, isn't it? More like an audition. Like, okay, US Embassy, let's see if you've got what it takes to enter America.
Audition is spot on, Mira. It's less visa application and more intense grilling session with a panel of judges who look like they haven't smiled since 1776. You go in there, and you feel like they're deciding not just if you can visit, but your entire worth as a human being. Prove to us they're human being. Prove to us they seem to say that you're deserving of breathing American air.
But I get what you mean. It's like they want to know your entire life story, your grandma's maiden name, and your favorite brand of toothpaste before they even consider letting you in for a weekend trip to Disneyland. I heard a story once about someone applying for a UK visa, and they just needed to prove they had enough funds. Pretty straightforward, right?
Straightforward-ish. Show us your bank statements, they say, and also your great Aunt Mildred disinvestment portfolio, just to be safe. But yeah, generally, for some UK visas, it's more about ticking boxes and showing you're not going to become a burden on the NHS or start living in Buckingham Palace uninvited.
Uninvited Buckingham Palace sleepovers. Boop. But in the US, it's like they want to know what you're going minute of every day you're there. Please provide a detailed itinerary, including bathroom breaks and planned ice cream consumption. Whoa, I remember a friend telling me about the US visa interview. They asked, what are your hobbies? And she said, reading. And the interview was like, prove it.
Prove you read. Next thing you know, they'll be asking for a book report on Moby Dick as part of the visa application. With the US, it's all about demonstrating intent to return. They want to be absolutely certain you're not going to fall in love with a bald eagle, marry it, and overstay your visa.
Marrying a bald eagle. But seriously, it can feel like that. Like they're expecting you to have a secret plan to become a permanent resident the moment you step off the plane. Whereas in the UK, maybe it's more about making sure you have the right paperwork, even if it takes a bit longer.
Exactly, Mira. UK process paperwork mountain, but climb able. US process interrogation under bright lights, possibly involving a polygraph and questions about your dreams. Both are experiences. Let's just say neither is a walk in the park unless the park is filled with endless queues and confusing signage.
Signage in bureaucratic parks. Sounds like a comedy sketch waiting to happen. But for our listeners out there planning their travels, maybe check out Jet Off AI for some more, shall we say, practical advice on navigating these visa jungles. We're just here for the laughs, but they've got the serious stuff.
Precisely, friends. We're the comedians, they're the visa whisperers at Jet Off AI. So, if you want to avoid accidentally proposing to a bald eagle to get a US visa, or accidentally joining the wrong queue for 6 hours in London, Jet Off AI is your friend. And if you enjoyed this little visa event session, don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. Maybe if we get enough likes, they'll make it less painful.
Our current topic, we compare our access to and quality of health services into countries, examining healthcare through an expat lens. From sniffles to serious stuff, healthcare is a big deal wherever you are, right?
Right you are, Mira. It's like you move to a new country for the culture, the adventure, maybe the food, and then the AM. You realize you also need to figure out how not to go bankrupt if you get a cold.
So, we're looking at the UK and the US today, and let's be honest, they have very different reputations when it comes to getting patched up. Think of the UK and you might picture the NHS, right? Free healthcare for everyone at the point of use. Sounds amazing on paper.
Sounds utopian almost. Like, come on, get your free checkup and a cup of tea. In theory, it's brilliant. But then you hear stories about waiting lists that are longer than the queue for the Tower of London. Heh!
True. The waiting lists are legendary. My friend in London says getting a non-emergency specialist appointment can feel like waiting for the next season of your favorite show you know it's coming eventually. But you might binge watch something else in the meantime.
Whereas in the US, it's more like healthcare. Sure, if you got a platinum credit card and maybe sold a kidney beforehand. Wow, okay, maybe a slight exaggeration, but the cost is definitely the elephant in the room. Or should I say, the elephant in the operating room?
Oh, Leo. Elephant in the operating room, I love it. But seriously, the US system, with its insurance maze and copays and deductibles, it's enough to give anyone a headache before they even get sick.
Tell me about it. I once tried to decipher an American medical bill, and I swear it looked like ancient hieroglyphics. I needed a coder ring just to figure out what I was being charged for. And then you realize, wait, I'm paying how much for someone to just look at my toe? Whoa.
Right? It's like they itemize everything. Breathing in doctor's office are $50 each. Doctors at contacts are charged $75. Meanwhile, in the UK, it's all covered, right? You walk in, it's seen. Walk out, no bill. Simple.
Simple in theory, yes. But then, you hear about folks waiting months for an MRI, or maybe even longer for surgery. It's like, sure, it's my ailment going to spontaneously combust before I get seen. Huh.
That's the trade-off, isn't it? Access versus speed. In the UK, everyone can access healthcare, which is amazing for equality. But the sheer demand means things can get backed up.
Exactly. And in the US, if you have good insurance, you can often jump the queue, see specialists quickly, get the latest treatments. It's like a VIP fast pass to health.
Which, let's be honest, many people can't. And that's where the US system gets really tricky for expats, or anyone really. Navigating insurance plans, understanding what's covered, it's a whole other language to learn.
It's like learning a new language, a new culture, and a new financial system, all rolled into one giant, stressful ball. And if you're self-employed or between jobs in the US, ouch, suddenly healthcare becomes this massive, looming expense.
In the UK, at least for residents, it's there. Even if you grumble about waiting times, you know you won't be bankrupted by a broken leg.
True. The UK system is definitely more about collective well-being, whereas the US is more individualistic. You're on your own, buddy. Good luck finding affordable coverage.
A bit harsh, Leo, but there's a grain of truth there. And when it comes to quality, both countries actually have really skilled doctors and nurses. It's not like one is inherently better in terms of medical expertise.
Nope, doctors are smart cookies everywhere. It's more about the system around them. In the UK, they might be battling resource constraints and burnout from the sheer workload.
And in the US, They might be dealing with insurance paperwork and the pressure to see as many patients as possible to keep the revenue flowing. Different pressures, but pressures nonetheless.
So for an expat choosing between the UK and EU, expat choosing between the UK and US based on healthcare, it really boils down to priorities, doesn't it? Do you value universal access, even if it means waiting? Or do you prioritize access, even if it means waiting? Or do you prioritize speed and choice, and are willing to pay a premium for it?
And maybe, just maybe, pack a really good first aid kit and try to stay super healthy in either country. Because navigating healthcare systems anywhere can be an adventure in itself. And for more expat tips, you know where to go, right? Jet off AI?
Jet off AI, your trusty guide through the expat jungle. And hey, if you're watching this on YouTube, give us a like. Maybe liking this will improve your health by osmosis. Ooh, worth a try, right?
Okay, yeah. Let's talk about getting around. Transportation, baby. In the UK and the US, how do they stack up? Are we talking smooth sailing or bumpy roads? Oh.
Smooth sailing and bumpy roads, Mira. Depends on if you're in a vintage Rolls Royce or trying to navigate a New York pothole on a bicycle. Let's dive into transportation infrastructure and convenience, shall we?
So, UK, first thought, gotta be the trains, right? Like in movies, all those charming train rides through the countryside. Is as romantic as it looks, Leo? Or is it more like battling for a seat with a grumpy badger?
Badgers on trains? Only if you're riding after midnight, Mira. The UK does have a pretty dense rail network, especially in England. You can hop on a train and see a lot of the country, which is pretty convenient. Wow. Though, sometimes, convenient eventually gets you there. Let's be honest, delays happen, even to the best of steam engines.
Delays? Oh no. Does that mean I'll miss my afternoon tea and scones? Ouch. But seriously, the London Underground? The Tube? It's legendary, right? Like you can get anywhere in London just by hopping underground. Whoa.
The Tube, Mira, is indeed a beast of its own. It's like a metallic spaghetti monster sprawling under London. Extensive? Absolutely. Convenient for getting across town, usually. But try during rush hour, and you'll feel like a sardine in a very, very fast can. And hot. Did I mention hot?
Hot sardine can. Noted. Noted. Okay, so trains and tubes in the UK. What about the US? I'm picturing massive highways and everyone in giant cars. Am I close, Leo? Vroom, vroom. Boom.
Vroom Vroom is the American national anthem, Mira. You're spot on. The US is car-centric big time. They built this massive interstate highway system, like, you could probably drive from here to the moon on it if you had a really long ramp. Really long ramp. For long distances, driving is king or queen, depending on who's behind the wheel.
So road trips across America. Got it. Sounds epic. But what if you don't want to drive? Is public transport a thing in the US? Or are you just stuck with your own 2 feet in the dream?
Public transport in the US is varied, let's say. New York City. They've got the subway, which is a whole other universe loud, gritty, sometimes smells faintly of pizza, but it gets the job done. Wow. Other cities, it can be a bit patchy. Some have light rail, some have, well, hopes and dreams for better public transit.
Oh dear. So if I'm in, say LA, and I want to go see the Hollywood sign without driving, am I taking an Uber or just hiking up there in my sparkly shoes? Oops.
Sparkly shoes and hiking in LA? Possible, Mira, but maybe not the most convenient. LA is the land of the car. Public transport exists, but it's not exactly winning any convenience awards. Uber and Lyft, your friends there. Or maybe a very, very long bus ride.
Buses, patience, got it. Okay, back to the UK. Buses, are they like double-decker red buses everywhere like in the postcards? Or is that just a London thing?
Double-deckery buses are definitely a London icon, Mira. Outside of London, you get buses, just less iconic and maybe not always red. But buses are pretty common across the UK, especially in cities and towns. Good for getting around locally. Just don't expect them to be as punctual as, say, a Swiss watch. Unless the Swiss are now running UK buses, which, who knows, maybe they should.
Swiss run UK buses. Now there's an idea. um, okay. So UK is good for local buses and trains. US is all about cars and highways. What about airports? Are they both easy to fly in and out of? Or is it like navigating a maze designed by a mischievous squirrel?
Airports, Mira, are where both countries kind of excel and suffer at the same time. The UK has Heathrow and Gatwick, major international hubs, incredibly busy. Getting through security can Olympic sport. Whoa, the US has tons of airports, also security, also security lines that can test your patience. Both countries, you're basically guaranteed to spend some quality time in an airport lounge questioning your life choices.
Questioning life choices in airport security. Sounds about right. So if you had to pick, Leo, for just getting around easily, which country wins? UK with its trains and tubes, or US with its highways and transport?
For convenience, it really depends on where you are and what you're doing. Mira, if you're sticking to major UK cities, the public transport is generally pretty good despite the occasional delay or sardine can bride. Wow, if you're in the US and sticking to, say, Manhattan, the subway is a lifesaver. But for overall convenience across the whole country, the US, with its car culture and highways, even if it's not always the most is, even if it's not always the most is, eco-friendly or budget-friendly.
Eco-friendly and budget-friendly. Good points. So, maybe for short trips, UK public transport wins, but for epic trips and vast distances, America takes the wheel? Is that the gist of it, Mr. Sharp-eyed traveler?
That's a pretty good summary, Mira. Even for someone who thinks badgers ride trains. Both have their strengths and weaknesses in transportation. Just depends on what kind of journey you're planning. And if you're prepared to journey you're planning, and if you're prepared to transportation chaos, wherever you are.
I love it. Sounds like a plan for any trip, really. And hey, if you want to see more of our brilliant country comparisons, don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. Oh, and for all your travel planning needs, Jettoff AI is the place to go, right, Leo?
Absolutely, Mira. Jettoff AI is where you can plan your Badger-free train journeys in the UK or your epic highway adventures in the US. And if you enjoyed our witty banter, maybe check out our other podcasts on Jettoff AI too. Who knows? You might even learn something while laughing.
Learn and laugh. The perfect combo. Thanks for the transport talk, Leo. Until next time, folks. Bye.
Later, listeners, and may your journeys be pothole-free wherever you are.
Yo. So we're diving into language barriers and ease of communication. I mean, on the surface, it seems like a piece of cake comparing the UK and the US, right? They both speak English. Ooh.
Piece of cake? Mira, you make it sound like we're comparing to flavors of ice cream. Just because they both technically speak English doesn't mean you won't end up ordering chips and getting crisps, or asking for the restroom and getting a blank stare. Okay. Point taken. It's not exactly the same language, is it? I remember watching a British baking show and being completely lost when they started talking about biscuits and puddings. It was like a whole new culinary vocabulary. Whoa. Exactly. It's like they took English, added a dash of historical mischief, a sprinkle of geographical stubbornness, and voila! You have two languages that are kinda sorta the same but can still leave you scratching your head. And don't even get me started on regional accents. Good luck understanding someone from Newcastle trying to explain astrophysics.
Oh my gosh, accents. That's a whole other universe. I once tried to ask for directions in Scotland, and it sounded like the guy was speaking fluent Dolphin. I just nodded and smiled and hoped for the best. Ended up in a lovely field of sheep, so not a total loss.
See? she part universal. English accents, not so much. You can be fluent in American English, land in certain parts of the UK, and suddenly feel like you've landed on another planet where everyone communicates through interpretive dance and obscure slang.
Interpretive dance. But you have to admit, for tourists, both countries are still pretty easy on the language front, right? You can generally get by in most tourist hotspots with just English. It's not like trying to order a coffee in, say, rural Uzbekistan with only pidgin English. Oops.
True. Compared to navigating the market in Marrakesh with zero Arabic, the UK and US are linguistic playgrounds. You can at least read the signs mostly. And order food, sometimes successfully. And ask for help, occasionally receiving coherent answers.
Occasionally coherent answers. You're killing me, Leo. But seriously, it's more about the cultural communication differences, isn't it? Like, Brits are famous for their dry wit and sarcasm, which can totally fly over an American's head sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. We Americans are more direct. Blunt, some might say. Whereas the Brits, they're masters of understatement. They can insult you to your face and you might walk away thinking they paid you a compliment. Almost requires a PhD in British sarcasm to fully decode.
A PhD in British sarcasm. I love it. We should offer that on Gen of AI. Learn to understand British sarcasm, a crash course for Americans. It could be huge. Oh.
Now you're talking, Mira. Survive a British dinner party sarcasm edition. We could make millions. But back to reality. Yeah, the communication barrier isn't so much about vocabulary as it is about understanding the nuances, the unspoken rules, the polite aggression.
Polite aggression. Perfect. So in a nutshell, language barrier-wise, both are pretty easy for English speakers, but maybe pack a sarcasm decoder ring for the UK and be prepared for slightly different vocabund accents? Aha!
Exactly. And maybe a phrasebook for regional slang, just in case you wander off the beaten tourist path. Or better yet, just embrace the confusion. It's all part of the adventure, right? If you're watching this on YouTube, let us know in the comments about your funniest language mix-ups in the UK. Want to hear your stories. Aha!
Yes, share your linguistic mishaps. And if you're planning a trip and want to brush up on your Britishisms or Americanisms, Gen of AI has some great resources. We're here to help you navigate those tricky language waters, even if they are technically still English waters.
Indeed. So, while you probably won't need a full-on translator for either country, a good sense of humor and maybe a willingness to occasionally might come in handy. And remember, if all else fails, just smile and nod. It works surprisingly often.
Leo, let's dive into a topic that's like a giant, delicious melting pot cultural diversity and tolerance. Think about it. It's like comparing to epic human rainbows. The UK and the US.
Rainbows, Hamira. More like a slightly chaotic paint fight where everyone's throwing different colors and hoping something nice comes out. Alright, cultural diversity and tolerance sounds like a stand. Tolerance sounds like a stand-up routine waiting to happen. So, UK versus US? Who wins the most colorful human zoo award?
Leo, you always have a way with words. But seriously, both countries are HUG on immigration, right? It's like, walk down any street in London or New York, and you're practically taking a world tour. Wow, you hear a dozen languages just ordering a coffee.
True. Mira, you can trip over a different accent in every postcode. In London, you might hear 10 languages before you even find your way out of the tube station. And in New York, forget about it, you'll hear the entire UN General Assembly ordering bagels. It's a linguist's paradise and a stand-up comedian's goldmine.
And it's not just languages, it's food, music, traditions. Think about it, in the UK you can have a full English breakfast in the morning, curry for lunch, and maybe some Chinese for dinner. Well, it's like culinary time travel across continents in a single day.
Oh, the food, Mira. Yes. In the US, you can get pizza from Naples, tacos from Mexico, and sushi from Tokyo all on the same block. It's like a United Nations of grease and deliciousness. Though sometimes I wonder if all this fusion is just a fancy word for cultural confusion.
Cultural confusion can be fun though, Leo. But on a serious note, both countries have had their ups and downs with tolerance, right? It's not always sunshine and rainbows, sadly. Oops. But there are also amazing initiatives promoting social harmony.
Ups and downs is putting it mildly, Mira. More like a roller coaster with occasional loop-de-loops of intolerance. But yeah, initiatives, they throw words like inclusion and diversity training like confetti at a politician's rally. Do they actually work? Well, that's another stand-up set for another day.
True. It's a work in progress. But I remember once, in London, I saw this amazing street festival. It was celebrating like 10 different cultures all at once. There was Indian dancing next to a steel drum band, and someone selling Polish pierogi right next to a jerk chicken stall. Boo. It was just so joyful.
Street festivals, Mira, where tolerance is temporarily manufactured for Instagram. But alright, Shoba. I once saw a Diwali celebration in a small town in the UK, and even the grumpy old Brits were apping their feet to the Bollywood beats. Maybe there's hope for humanity after all.
In the US, I remember being in a tiny town in Texas, totally expecting everyone to be, one way. And then I met this incredible group of Vietnamese immigrants who had started the most amazing community garden, sharing their culture and food with everyone. Wow, it was so heartwarming.
Texas, huh? Even cowboys are getting a bit multicultural these days. Who knew? But yeah, I guess even in the most unexpected corners, you find people trying to bridge the gaps. Still, don't get me wrong, Mira. I'm not ditching my cynicism for a pair of rose-tinted glasses just yet.
And I think both the UK and the US, think both the UK and the US, despite their challenges, are these incredible experiments in how different people can live together. It's messy, it's complicated, but sometimes it's also truly beautiful. Oh. And hey, if you want to see more of our thoughts on cultural topics, don't forget to check out Jet Off AI for articles and more podcasts.
Messy and complicated sounds like my dating life. But yeah, Mira's right, folks. Diversity and tolerance, still a work in progress, but at least it gives us comedians plenty of material. And if you're planning your own cultural deep dive, Jet Off AI is the place to start. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube if you enjoyed this rambling conversation.
Maybe subscribe. Maybe subscribing will bring you extra tolerance. Who knows? Wow! And thanks for listening, everyone. Until next time. Alright, Leo. Let's chat about something brainy for a bit, shall we? Educational opportunities and language schools in the UK versus the US. It's like comparing afternoon tea with a double-shot espresso. Both give you a boost, but in totally different ways, right?
Mira, you always manage to make even education sound like a caffeine-fueled adventure. But yeah, education in the UK and the US. It's a bit like comparing cricket and baseball. Both involve bats and balls, but try explaining the rules to someone from the other side.
So starting with the UK, I always picture those charming old universities, like something straight out of a Harry Potter movie. You know? All those grand buildings and students in gowns looking super serious and intelligent. Wow, is it really all like that? Or is that just movie magic?
Well, Mira, Hogwarts is sadly fictional. Oops. But the UK does have some seriously old and prestigious universities. Think Oxford, Cambridge, St. Andrews, places that have been churning out brainy folks for centuries. It's like they've got a secret recipe for smartness. Maybe it's the tea they serve in those gowns.
Tea-powered intelligence. I love it. Oh, and what about the US side of things? Do they have the same kind of ancient, history-soaked vibe? Or is it more of a modern, tetchy feel?
The US definitely leans more towards the innovation station vibe, Mira. Think Silicon Valley in educational form. They've got universities like MIT, Stanford, called tech places that are practically inventing the future as we speak. It's less about ancient gargoyles and more about gleaming labs and robots. This!
Robots and innovation. Sounds exciting. Wow. Someone wants to study something super cutting edge, like, I don't know, how to build a spaceship that runs on laughter. Would they be better off in the US then?
If spaceship fuel is your game, Mira, the US might just be your lawn packs. They pour a lot of resources into research and development, especially in tech and science fields. Plus, they love a good go big or go home attitude, which is perfect for inventing things that haven't even been dreamt of yet. Aha!
Go big or go home. That's so American. But what about language schools? If someone wants to learn English, are both the UK and the US equally good? Or is there a home team advantage?
Well, Mira, if you want to learn proper English, the kind the Queen speaks, or used to speak them the UK is the obvious choice, right? It's like going to Italy for pizza. You're getting it straight from the source.
It's English. Ooh, sounds delicious. But hold on, isn't American English like the global language of cool now? Movies, music, the internet, it's all kind of American flavored, isn't it?
You've got a point there, Mira. American English is definitely the pop culture powerhouse. If you want to understand the latest memes and slang and sound like you just stepped out of a Hollywood movie, then the US is where it's at. It's the English of T.I. Katie O'Kyan superhero films, for sure. Wow.
Oh. So UK for classic and US for contemporary English? What about the learning experience itself? Are language schools totally different in each place?
In the UK, you might find language schools in quaint seaside towns or historic cities, with a focus on traditional teaching methods, maybe a bit more formal. Think afternoon walks discussing Shakespeare after class.
Shakespeare walks. Fancy. And in the US, are language schools more like bright and shiny, with classes that feel more like hangouts than actual lessons?
Some US language schools can be very modern and tech-focused, especially in big cities. They might use a lot of interactive tech, focus on conversational English, and feel a bit more, well, let's say relaxed than the UK approach. Less Shakespeare, more Netflix and chill English.
Netflix and chill English. I'm getting the picture. So, if you're after a proper, traditional education with a side of history and tea, the UK might be your cup of tea. But, if you want something more future-focused, innovative, and want to speak the English of the internet, then the US is calling.
Pretty much, Mira. It's a bit of a choose-your-own adventure in education land. Both the UK and US have fantastic opportunities, just different flavors, different vibes, and definitely different accents. Just try ordering tea in Boston and see what happens.
Now there's a challenge. Maybe we should do a whole podcast just on accents. Ooh, but for now, I think we've given our listeners a good taste of the educational buffet in the UK and US. Thanks, Leo.
Anytime, Mira. Just try not to spill your tea or espresso on the way out.
Speaking of getting heated arguments, let's talk about actual heat. Or, well, maybe not always heat, depending on where we are. Let's dive into climate and seasonal conditions comparing the UK and the US. Ready to weather this topic with me?
Mira, you and your weather puns. Always sunny side up, even when we're talking about places known for their drizzle. Alright, climate and seasonal conditions it is. Let's see if we can make this less dry than, say, a typical British summer.
Oh, come on, British summers aren't all bad. Sometimes you get a whole week of sunshine. Wow. But seriously, the UK, bless its little isles, is famous for being, well, predictable in its unpredictability. You know? Like you can have all 4 seasons in one day? Whoa.
Predictable unpredictability. That's poetry, Mira. You should write weather forecasts. Yes. On the other hand, it's like a climate buffet. You want snow. We got Alaska. Arizona's calling. You want a hurricane? Florida's...
A climate buffet. I love that. It's so true, though. In the UK, our temperature range is basically slightly chilly to mildly warm. Ooh, we get excited if it hits 30 degrees Celsius, which is like, what? Room temperature in some parts of the US.
Room temperature for our refrigerators, maybe. Yeah, in the US, we measure temperature in emotions. Slightly chilly is when you need a light jacket. Mildly warm is when you can wear shorts in December depending on where you are. And hot? is when you can fry an egg on the sidewalk. Which, let's be honest, has happened.
See, Neo, you're painting such vivid pictures. Back in the UK, our extreme weather is usually just a bit of a strong breeze and maybe some rain that might disrupt your umbrella. We call it a bit blustery.
Blustery. That's cute. We call it hurricane season and evacuate entire cities. Whoa, our bit blustery is probably what you guys call a light summer breeze. Ouch! We have tornadoes, blizzards that bury houses, earthquakes that rearrange the landscape. It's never a dull weather report here.
Okay. Point taken. You guys win the Extreme Weather Olympics. Wow. But you know, there's a certain charm to the UK's milder climate. It's like cozy weather. Perfect for staying indoors with a cup of tea and watching it rain outside.
Cozy, you say? I think you go stir crazy with cozy weather all year round. Give me sunshine and the option to sweat, please. But I get it, there's something to be said for not having to worry about your house being blown away by a gust of wind.
And think about the seasons. In the UK, they're so gentle. Spring is a gradual unfurling of green. Summer is a brief but glorious sunbeam. Autumn is all crunchy leaves and lovely colors. And winter is, well, mostly gray. But still, it has its moments.
Gentle seasons. Again, so poetic, Mira? In the US, seasons are more like loud announcements. Summer arrives with a heat wave and humidity that makes you feel like you're living in a giant armpit. Fall is a glorious explosion of color for about 2 weeks before everything turns brown and dead. In winter, well, winter depends entirely on whether you're in Miami or Minneapolis.
A giant armpit. Lear, you're killing me. But it's true, isn't it? The US is so vast. You could literally choose your climate. Want to live in perpetual sunshine? California. Want to experience proper snow every year? New England. It's like picking mixed climate options. Wow.
Pick and mixed climate brought to you by the United States of Weather Extremes. In the UK, everyone's got their raincoat sun while he's ready. In the US, you've got hurricane shutters in Florida and Minnesota. We're all just trying to survive our chosen climate chaos.
Surviving climate chaos in style, of course. And you know, even with our mild weather, we Brits are obsessed with talking about it. It's our national pastime. Isn't it cold today? Yes, but at least it's not raining. Yet. You know how it goes. You know how it goes.
Obsessed with weather. Sounds like you guys are just polite about it. In the US, we don't just talk about the weather, we complain about the weather. Loudly and constantly. This heat is unbearable. This snow is ridiculous. This humidity is trying to murder me. It's practically performance art.
Performance art weather complaining. I love it. Maybe we should do a segment on weather complaining styles around the world on our YouTube channel. Jet Off AI could even sponsor it. Imagine the possibilities.
Weather complaining styles around the world, presented by Jet Off AI. I can see it now. We could even have a best weather complaint contest. But back to the UK and US, I guess the bottom line is, if you like variety as your climate is your playground. If you prefer a more predictable experience.
Predictably unpredictable? Then the UK is your cozy, slightly damp, but charmingly consistent friend. And hey, at least we both get to experience seasons, even if they're on different volumes.
Different volumes, exactly. Well said, Mir. From a gentle whisper of seasons in the UK to a full-blown opera in the US. I think we've weathered that topic pretty well. Ready to move on to something less atmospheric.
All right, Leah. Let's dive into something delicious. Or maybe questionably delicious depending on your taste buds. We're talking food, culture, and nutritional alternatives between the UK and the US. From bangers and mash to burgers the size of your head. It's gonna be a tasty ride. Ooh.
Tasty ride? Mira, you're making it sound like we're about to explore a culinary theme park. More like a roller coaster of calories, I'd say. But yeah, food culture. Let's see if we can navigate this without getting lost in a deep-fried fog. Starting with the UK, I suppose we have to mention fish and chips.
Fish and chips. Classic. It's like the national dish, right? Although I always wonder, is it really that different from fish and fries everywhere else? But there's something so comforting about it, especially with mushy peas. Ugh. Though, mushy peas, that's a brave choice for a side dish, isn't it?
Mushy peas. Yes, a culinary adventure in texture and greenness. It's got that certain genie says quo, or maybe genie says what is that? But hey, it's British. And they love cues, so they must love queuing for fish and chips. It's all very orderly and slightly beige, isn't it?
Beige. Mia, you're painting a very beige picture of British food. But you're right. There's a certain understated charm to it. Like, we have food, it's present. But then you've got things like afternoon tea. Wow. Scones, clotted cream, tiny sandwiches, it's so elegant and pinkies out. Whoa. Woo.
Pinkies out elegance? Precisely. Afternoon tea? It's like they decided to invent a meal specifically designed to make you feel fancy while consuming approximately your daily sugar intake in one sitting. But let's take a scone or five. Well, let's not pretend it's everyday fare for the average Brit. More like a special occasion. Instagram-able event. Unlike the full English breakfast.
No, the full English. Whoa, now that's a breakfast of champions. Or at least, champions of naps afterwards. Sausage, bacon, eggs, beans, tomatoes, mushrooms, black. Pudding is like they threw everything in the pan and said, breakfast is served. Oh, it's certainly hearty.
Hearty is one word for it. Another word might be artery clogging lie magnificent. But yeah, the full English. It's a statement. It's saying I'm ready to face the day, or at least ready to face a really long nap. It's definitely not for the faint of heart, or those watching their cholesterol. Which brings us to nutritional alternatives. Are the Brits even aware of those? Besides, you know, having a side of mushy peas.
Hey, mushy peas have got to have some vitamins, right? But seriously, I think things are changing. You see more vegetarian and vegan options popping up in the UK now. Wow, even Greggs, the sausage roll king, has a vegan sausage roll. The world is changing, Leo. Even Beigeland is getting a bit greener. Oh.
Vegan sausage rolls at Greggs. The apocalypse is nigh. No, you're right. Things are evolving. Even the Brits are slowly realizing that maybe, just maybe, a diet solely based on fried food and gravy isn't optimal for longevity. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's still a nation that invented the chip, buddy.
Oh my goodness. For our listeners who might not know, that's fries in a sandwich. It's like Carbception. But in a way, it's kind of brilliant in its simplicity, right? Like, why not put fries in bread? We love both. Ooh.
Comfortably numb, perhaps. But you know, the UK does have some surprisingly good Indian food. Curry has practically become a national dish, hasn't it? Chicken tikka masala, anyone? No. Is that really British or British or British? It's a delicious mystery.
I thought. That's a great way to put it. It's like they took Indian spices and said, let's make this milder and creamier. But hey, I'm not complaining. A good curry is always welcome. Especially on a cold, rainy British evening. Hey! And speaking of cold and rainy, what about nutritional alternatives? Do they have healthy options besides, well, mushy peas?
Beyond mushy peas? Well, they do have salads. They do have salads. Occasionally. In pubs, they might grudgingly offer a ploughman's salad, which is basically cheese, bread, and pickled onions with a few lettuce leaves thrown in as a token gesture towards health. You're seeing more health food stores, juice bars, that sort of thing in the bigger cities. London's probably leading the charge, but outside of the trendy bits, still very much about the comfort food, the pub grub, the Sunday roast.
Oh, that sounds lovely. Wow, roast beef, Yorkshire pudding, roast potatoes, gravy. It's like Thanksgiving every Sunday. No, I guess for Americans, every day is kind of like Thanksgiving when it comes to portion sizes, right? Let's hop across the pond to the US now. Well,
Portion sizes in the US. Yes, we're getting to the land of supersize me. Where large is considered medium and medium is what they feed toddlers in Europe. American food culture, it's a vast, diverse, and often bewildering landscape. From coast to coast, it's if we're talking iconic in food world, but if we're talking iconic American food, we have to start with the hamburger.
the hamburger. The mighty burger? It's like the symbol of America, isn't it? Big, juicy, dripping with cheese and sauce too. And the variations. You've got your classic cheeseburger, your bacon cheeseburger, your double cheeseburger, your triple cheeseburger.
Burger mania is right. America took a simple beef patty and turned it into a national obsession. You can get burgers topped with everything from onion rings to mac and cheese to, well, pretty much anything you can imagine. It's culinary creativity gone wild, or maybe just culinary excess gone wild. But burgers are undeniably American.
Pizza. But American pizza is different, right? It's not like Italian pizza. It's thicker, cheesier, sometimes with crazy toppings like pineapple. Whoa, pineapple on pizza. That's a debate that could start over Leo.
Pineapple on pizza. The culinary equivalent of your exit. Divisive, controversial, and deeply misunderstood by some. But yes, American pizza is its own beast. Thick crust, loaded with toppings, often swimming in cheese. It's less about overwhelming deliciousness. Or overwhelming something, depending on your perspective.
Fried chicken. Crispy, juicy, flavorful. Southern fried chicken, Nashville hot chicken, Korean fried chicken, American does fried chicken so well. No, maybe a little too well. Maybe a little too well. Though, maybe a little too well. It's hard to resist, isn't it? Even if your arteries are screaming new oh.
Arteries screaming, no. That's the soundtrack of the American food experience, isn't it? Fried chicken. It's practically a food group in some parts of the US. And they've perfected it. The chicken has the seasoning, it's addictive. Alarmingly addictive. But hey, at least it's protein, sorta.
Did we just accidentally get a little honest about American food? But it's true, it's delicious, but maybe not always the healthiest. But what about nutritional alternatives in the US? I bet they have everything right. I bet they have everything right. From kale smoothies to quinoa bowls to whatever crazy health food trend is hot right now. Wow.
Oh, America's the land of extremes, Mira. On one hand, you have the supersized fast food and the deep-fried everything. On the other hand, you have a kale smoothie-obsessed, gluten-free, organic, vegan, paleo, keto, whatever diet is trending this week crowd. They have every nutritional alternative imaginable, and about 10 diets to choose from. It's a nutritional battlefield out there. Aha!
Nutritional battlefield. That's perfect. Leo, it's like you can either go full on burger and fries, or you can spend your entire paycheck on organic, locally sourced, sustainably harvested air. There's not much in between, is there?
Not much in between. You're either deep frying your tween, you're either deep frying your Twinkies, or you're meticulously counting your macronutrients and Instagramming your avocado toast. There's a certain lack of middle ground, shall we say. In America, you can choose to be incredibly unhealthy or incredibly health conscious. The freedom is terrifying.
Terrifying freedom. I love it. So, if you're in the UK, you're probably having fish and chips or a Sunday roast. And if you're in the US, you're either eating a giant burger or sipping a green smoothie. It's quite the contrast, isn't it? But both countries have their own unique and interesting food cultures.
Interesting is definitely the word. From the beige delights of Britain to the supersized sensations of the States, it's a culinary journey, that's for sure. And if you're watching this on YouTube, let us know in the comments which food culture are you leaning towards? Team fish and chips or team burger? Oh, I'm to know.
Our current topic, we compare the historical, cultural, and artistic values of two countries. From ancient landmarks to thriving art scenes. This is gonna be a fun ride, right, Leo? Ooh!
So, right. Mira, comparing histories like comparing coffee blends, some are robust, some are mild, and some are just instant. But yeah, let's dive into the historical cultural, an artistic showdown between the UK and the US.
So first off, the UK, right? In Castle's Shakespeare. Afternoon tea, it's like stepping into a historical drama, but with better snacks. They've got centuries of kings and queens, while America's history is more like 0 to hero in like a few centuries. Wow.
Sure, I think that we can conquer that. More like 0 to superhero movie franchise in a few centuries, Mira. But you're right? The UK has history coming out of its chimney pots. They've got Stonehenge, we've got a Hollywood. Though, to be fair, Hollywood is pretty influential culture-wise.
Oh, Hollywood, totally. It's like America's modern-day mythology factory. But the UK has, like, real myths and legends. Knights of the Round Table, Loch Ness Monster America has Bigfoot, which is basically just a hairy tourist who got lost, right?
Bigfoot, the ultimate tourist attraction for the cryptically inclined. But don't forget, America's got its own legends to Paul Bunyan, Johnny Appleseed, okay. Maybe they're not as dramatic as King Arthur, but they're ours. And culturally, they're woven into the American story.
True. And when it comes to art, the UK is like classical paintings, grand theaters, very proper and refined. While America is more like pop art, jazz, and throwing paint at a canvas and calling it abstract expressionism.
Throwing paint and calling it art sounds like my apartment after I tried to DIY anything. But yeah, UK art history is steeped in tradition. Think Constable Turner, the Royal Ballet. America burst onto the scene with a different kind of energy. Warhol, Pollock. Just music that just wings. It's a different vibe.
UK culture feels very keep coming, carry on, while American culture is more like go big or go home. You see it in everything from their literature to their music. British understatement versus American overstatement.
Understatement versus overstatement, you nailed it. Think British literature, Jane Austen, subtle social commentary. American literature, Hemingway, big themes, big emotions. Even their comedy is different. British wit versus American slapstick, though we do love a good pie in the face sometimes.
Pie in the face is universally funny. But culturally, the UK feels very heritage-focused. They're proud of their past, and it shows in their architecture, their traditions. America is more future-focused, always innovating, always moving forward, sometimes forgetting to look back.
Forgetting to look back? Maybe that's why American cities are constantly tearing down old buildings to put up new ones. Progress, baby. But the UK's respect for heritage is undeniable. Those castles and historical sites are reconstructed log cabins and presidential libraries.
Presidential libraries. It's like, come see the desk where history was made. But in the UK, it's like, come see the actual crown jewels where history was made. Talk about blind.
Crown jewels versus the Hope Diamond? Okay, America's got some blind too, but you're right. The UK's historical artifacts just have that extra royal sparkle. And culturally, that sense of history pervades everything. Even their telly shows are often period dramas.
So many bonnets and brooding looks. American TV is more like superhero sagas and reality TV. Very different cultural exports, wouldn't you say?
Bonnets and brooding versus keeps in chaos, perfect summary. But both countries have had a massive global cultural impact. British music from the Beatles to Adele, American movies from Hollywood blockbusters to indie darlings, they both shape global tastes.
And musically, the UK gave us rock and roll, punk, Britpop, while America gave us blues, jazz, hip-hop. It's like a musical world tour in just 2 countries. Wow.
Musical world tour indeed. And artistically, both have produced incredible talents. From Shakespeare to Tennessee Williams in theater, from the pre-Raphaelites to modern American art, it's a wealth of creativity.
It's almost overwhelming to think about, right? Like, how do you even choose a favorite historical period or artistic movement from either country? It's like choosing your favorite flavor of ice cream. Impossible. Oh.
Impossible ice cream choices, now you're talking my language. But yeah, historically, artistically, the UK and the US are both powerhouses, just in different ways. One is like a grand old oak tree, the other is like a rapidly growing redwood.
Grand old oak versus rapidly growing redwood, I like that. It's like both are impressive, but in totally different styles. And both give us amazing shade, or, in this case, amazing culture.
Amazing cultural shade, perfect way to wrap it up, Mira. So listeners, which cultural shade do you prefer, the oak or the redwood? Let us know in the comments on YouTube. And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe.
And check out Jet Off AI for more country comparisons and travel inspiration. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Bye for now. Okay, for next up, let's talk about something truly breathtaking, literally, if you decide to hike up a mountain. We're diving into natural beauties and landscapes for the UK and the US. Oh, I'm already picturing rolling green hills and dramatic coastlines.
Ah yes, nature. The great outdoors, where you go to appreciate not having Wi-Fi. But seriously, comparing the UK and US on landscapes is like comparing a charming cottage garden to, well, a continent-sized national park.
Think of the UK's Lake District, Leo. So serene, so poetic, you can almost hear words worth composing sonnets just by looking at it. It's so curated, in a lovely way. Like nature got a really good stylist.
Curated nature, I like that. In the US, we have places like Yosemite. It's less curated and more nature through the made granite cliffs the size of skyscrapers. You don't just Napoleon May granted grand maybe a bald eagle screeching about freedom.
Okay, bears and eagles versus poets. Point taken. But the UK has its dramatic coastlines too. Think of the cliffs of Dover, so iconic, so white. They're like nature's own chalk drawings, aren't they?
Chalk drawings. That's cute. We have the Grand Canyon, Mira. It's like the earth yawned and revealed its insides. It makes the cliffs of Dover look like, dare I say, a slightly impressive curb. Though I admit, curbs are important in their own right.
Ouch, a curb. Leo, you're killing me. But think about the Scottish Highlands. Mystical, moody, with lochs and glens, it's the kind of place you expect to see a unicorn. Or at least Nessie popping out for a photo op.
Nessie? We have Bigfoot. And maybe some aliens if you go to Area 51, which I'm pretty sure is technically a landscape. The US's landscape's so varied, you can go from swampy bayous in Louisiana to volcanic deserts in Nevada in a single afternoon's flight. Good luck doing that in the UK without needing a passport for different weather zones.
But there's something to be said for the UK's Guernsey countryside, isn't there? Think of the Cotswold, with those honey-colored stone villages nestled in rolling hills. It's picture postcard perfect, like straight out of a Jane Austen novel.
Jane Austen novels are lovely, but have you seen the redwood forest in California? Trees so tall, you feel like an ant in a green cathedral. You can drive through a tree in California. Try driving through a Cotswold cottage. See how that goes.
Okay. Driving through a cottage might be frowned upon. But the UK has such diverse landscapes packed into a small space. From the moors of Dartmoor, wild and windswept, to the sandy beaches of Cornwall, all within a few hours' drive. It's like a nature sampler platter. Wow.
The sampler platter. The US is more like a nature buffet. You want deserts? We got Death Valley. Mountains. Rockies, Appalachians, Sierra Nevada. Beaches. Coast to coast. Rhine forests. Hello. Pacific Northwest and Hawaii. We're basically showing off at this point.
Showing off is allowed, Leo. But the UK's landscapes have a certain history baked into them, don't they? Ancient forests, Roman roads crisscrossing the countryside. It's like every hill and valley has a story to tell.
Stories are great, but sometimes you just want raw, untamed wilderness. Think of Alaska, Mira. Glaciers calving into the ocean, mountains that haven't even been named yet, well, life that probably judges us for wearing shoes. It's nature on steroids. Nature. Whoa.
Okay, Alaska does sound a bit intense. But the UK has its charming canals and waterways. Perfect for a leisurely boat trip, watching the world drift by. It's nature at a slower pace, you know?
Leisurely boat trips are nice for gnats, but the US has whitewater rafting in the Colorado River through the Grand Canyon. That's not leisurely, that's a grand nature. You're battling rapids while surrounded by geological history. Try napping then.
All right, you win on adrenaline, Mr. Adventure. But the UK has its lovely gardens, too. Kew Gardens, Sissinghurst, so meticulously planned and beautifully cultivated. It's nature designed to soothe the soul. Ooh.
Soul-soothing gardens are nice for souls that need soothing. But we have Yellowstone National Park, geysers erupting by Sun National Park, geysers erupting by Sun roaming free. It's nature putting on a show, a geological opera. No green thumbs required.
A geological opera. I love that. I love that. Okay, maybe the US wins on sheer scale and drama. But the UK's natural beauty is all about charm and history, wouldn't you agree? It's a different kind of stunning, more intimate, perhaps.
Intimate is one word for it. Cozy, compact, manageable look. The UK is like a perfectly crafted miniature landscape, beautiful and detailed. The US is just bigger, vaster, more likely to have a monster hiding in it. Both are great, just depends if you want a teacup or a swimming pool of nature.
A swimming pool of nature. Leo, you're on fire today. Well, listeners, I think we've painted a pretty picture of the natural beauties and landscapes of both the UK and the US. If you're watching on YouTube, let us know in the comments which landscape style calls to you more. Do you prefer the curated charm of the UK or the wild grandeur of the US?
And while you're commenting, don't forget to like and subscribe. It's like giving us a digital thumbs up for comparing countries, even if one of them has slightly less curb appeal than the other. You can also find more comparisons and travel inspiration on Jet Off AI if you're planning your next nature, be it miniature or mammoth.
Our current topic, we compare sports, activity, and adventure options into countries, from celebrated national sports to daring outdoor pursuits. It's like choosing between a royal garden party and a wild rodeo, right, Leo?
A royal garden party versus a rodeo. Mira, that's almost on the nose for the UK and US. But yeah, sports and adventures. In the UK, it's like they invented sports, then politely argued about the rules for centuries. In the US, we just want to win, and maybe we're more pattern.
Think about football, or soccer as you Americans insist on calling it. In the UK, it's practically a religion. Every pub, every town, everyone's got an opinion on their team. It's passion, drama, maybe a bit of hooliganism, oops, but mostly passion. Oh.
Hooliganism, you say? We call that spirited fans mirror. But yeah, soccer in the UK is huge. It's like care. You don't question it, you guys. We have football, but it involves helmets, commercials, and way more star running.
Oh, American football. The one where they stop every 10 seconds for committee meeting? I'm teasing, but seriously, the Super Bowl is like a national holiday in the US, isn't it? Everything stops for that game. Wow.
Everything except the snack production lines, Mira. Those work overtime. Super Bowl Sunday is basically an excuse to eat enough dip to float a small boat. But yeah, it's massive. It's spectacle, it's a lot of yelling at the TV.
And then you have baseball. Now that's a sport of patience. I tried watching a baseball game once, and I think I aged 5 years in 3 innings. It's very strategic. Is that the word?
Strategic is one word for it, Mira. Measly is another. Baseball is the sport for people who enjoy the sound of silence and the taste of hot dogs. But hey, it's got its fans. It's America's pastime, after all. Like cricket is in the UK, right?
Yes, another sport that takes a certain kind of appreciation. I still haven't quite grasped all the rules, but I love the outfits. All in white, very dashing. Oh, and those village cricket matches on a sunny afternoon. So charming. Aha!
Charming and long. Very long. Like, bring a picnic basket and a sleeping bag long. But yeah, cricket's got that classic British vibe. It's like afternoon tea, but with more running occasionally.
But it's not just about team sports, is it? The UK is brilliant for outdoor activities too. Think of hiking in the Lake District, or the Scottish Highlands. Stunning scenery, fresh air, maybe a little rain to keep things interesting.
A little rain to keep things arresting. Mira, you're being optimistic. It's more like a lot of rain to remind you you're in Britain. But yeah, the UK has some beautiful countryside for hiking, though national parks are like continents in themselves. While our national parks are like continents in themselves.
Oh, your national parks. Grand Canyon, Yosemite, Yellowstone. Absolutely breathtaking. Wow, you could get properly lost in those places. Whoa, in the UK, getting lost usually just means you've accidentally wandered into someone's garden.
True. In the UK, wilderness means slightly overgrown public park. In the US, wilderness means bears might eat you. It's a different scale. We do things big, Mira, even nature.
And you've got amazing water sports in the US too. Surfing in California, beaches in Florida, lakes everywhere. Oh, though the UK has its coastal charm, doesn't it? Windsurfing in Cornwall, sailing around the Isle of Wight.
Coastal charm is lovely if you don't mind water that's roughly the temperature of ice water most of the year. US water sports, we like our water a bit warmer. Thank you very much. Surfing in California, yeah. That's the dream, though maybe avoid the sharks. Oops.
Okay, maybe I'll stick to the UK coast then. Perhaps some gentle kayaking in a lake. Or a nice bracing walk along a cliff top. Much less chance of encountering a shark there.
Less chance of sharks, more chance of windburn and seagulls trying to steal your chips. It's a trade-off. But hey, adventure's adventure, right? Whether it's battling a rogue wave or a particularly aggressive pigeon.
And the UK is brilliant for motorsports too. Formula One at Silverstone, so exciting. Vroom vroom. Ooh? Though I suppose the US has its own kind of land fast sports. Like an ASCR? Is that right?
NASCR. Yes. Loud, fast, and mostly turning left. Ew, it's an experience. If you like the smell of burning rubber and the sound of 40 engines roaring at once, it's your paradise. For me, I prefer my motorsports with a bit more cornering.
Cornering is good. Corners are fun. Like life, full of unexpected turns. But really, both countries offer so much for sports and adventure. It just depends what you're after, doesn't it? Royal Garden Party or rodeo? Both sound like a good time to me.
Exactly, Mira. Whether you want to politely applaud at Wimbledon or scream your lungs out at an NFL game, both the UK and the US have got you covered. Just maybe pack a raincoat for the UK and sunscreen for the US. And snacks.
Our current topic, we compare nightlife and entertainment venues into countries. From electric clubs to captivating theaters and festive events, we're diving into the night scene. Ooh, it's like a sparkly disco ball just ascended into our studio.
Nightlife, Mira? Are we talking about staying up past my bedtime? Because frankly, my ideal night involves a book and avoiding people, but for the sake of our listeners, I'll pretend to be interested in loud music and questionable dance moves.
Oh, come on. Leo, even you must have a wild side. Maybe buried under layers of sarcasm and coffee addiction, but it's there. Think about the UK, land of pubs. It's like every corner is a cozy little den of beer and friendly chatter. Ah,
Pubs, yes, those are civilized. A pint, some crisps, maybe a grumpy old man in the corner that's my speed. Though, let's be honest, sometimes those friendly chats in pubs sound suspiciously like heated arguments about football. Still better than a neon-lit club in the US where you can't hear yourself think.
think of the energy. Imagine a proper London club. That's pumping. Everyone dancing like nobody's watching. Wow. It's like a giant, sweaty, happy hug set to music. And then in the US, you have everything from Vegas glitz to New York underground vibes. Well, variety is the spice of nightlife.
Variety, yes, like deciding between getting hit by a disco ball or a rogue cowboy boot in a Texas honky-tonk. In the US, entertainment venue can mean anything from a Broadway show, which is undeniably impressive, to a sports bar where the entertainment is mostly watching someone spill beer on themselves during a game.
And Broadway. The UK has its West End. Equally dazzling, right? It's like a battle of the theatrical titans. Imogen, Mira and Leo's Nightlife Theatre Awards Best Dramatic Monologue goes down. We need categories.
And the award for loudest audience chewing popcorn goes to practically any movie theater in the US. Seriously, it's an Olympic sport over there. But yes, London's West End is fantastic, though sometimes the ticket prices feel like you're paying for a small car instead of a play.
Think of the memories. Seeing a show in London or New York, it's like a cultural badge of honor. And then you have the live music scene. Tiny pubs with amazing bands in the UK versus massive stadium concerts in the US. Ooh, both are epic in their own way.
Stadium concerts where you watch tiny figures on a giant screen and pay $10 for a lukewarm beer. Give me a small, smoky pub with a band playing proper rock any day. Though, I admit, the US does do festivals on a grand scale. Coachella? Lollapalooza there like entire cities dedicated to music and questionable fashion choices.
Questionable fashion is part of the fun, Leo. It's self-expression. It's sparkika. And think about the pub quizzes in the UK. It's like intellectual bar fighting, but with trivia instead of fists. You don't get that same pub quiz culture in the States, do you?
No, in the US. Bar quizzes are usually about sports or pop culture, and the intellectual bar fighting is mostly about politics, sadly. Though, I will concede, a good pub quiz in the UK, especially if you win a voucher for more beer, is a very satisfying form of entertainment.
See, you do appreciate nightlife, just in a slightly more sedate, beer and trivia-focused way. But honestly, both countries offer such diverse options. From traditional pubs to cutting-edge clubs, from grand theaters to cozy comedy nights. Wow.
Comedy nights. Yes, the US comedy scene is massive, though sometimes it feels like every other person in LA is an aspiring comedian. In the UK, the comedy is often drier, more observational, which naturally appeals to my refined comedic sensibilities.
Refined indeed. But that's what's great. UK nightlife can be more about that cozy, intimate vibe, while the US can be bigger, bolder, flashier. It's like choosing between a warm hug from a friend and a cannon exploding in your face. Both are fun, just different.
Confetti cannon sounds messy. I prefer the warm hug and maybe another pint. But you're right, Mira. Whether you want a quiet pint in a pub, or a world night in a club, or a world-class show, both the UK and the US have got you covered. Just maybe pack earplugs for the US clubs.
And maybe a raincoat for a London pub crawl. But, hey, wherever you go, remember to enjoy the night, laugh a little, maybe even spill some coffee. Metaphorically, of course. Ooh, and if you're watching us on YouTube, tell us in the comments, what's your favorite kind of nightlife venue? We're curious.
And if you're planning your next night out, maybe check out Jet Off AI for some travel inspiration. You never know, you might find yourself comparing pubs in London to honky-tonks in Texas one day. Just send postcards. And maybe coffee. Lots of coffee.
Our current topic, we compare family-friendly environments and children's activities into countries. From what I hear, both the UK and the US are supposed to be pretty awesome for families, right?
Awesome is a strong word, Mira. Let's just say they both have places where kids can run around without knocking over priceless antiques, which is a plus.
Think about parks. In the UK, you've got royal parks. Green spaces everywhere. Imagine picnics with ducks and maybe even bumping into a royal corgi.
If you're lucky, more likely you'll bump into a pigeon the size of a small dog trying to steal your sandwich. But yes, the UK parks are lovely, if a bit reserved.
What do you mean? Parks are for playing. Swings, slides, maybe a bit of shouting. Whom?
In the US, parks are bigger. Everything is bigger in America, Mira, even the squirrels. And the playgrounds are like mini theme parks themselves.
Mini theme parks. Wow. Slides that go on forever. Swings that reach the clouds. Oh, I can just imagine the squeals of joy.
And the potential for scraped knees that require a small medical team. But seriously, American playgrounds are built for maximum energy expenditure.
Energy expenditure is good. Keeps the kids happy and sleepy for bedtime. Ah, and museums. Museums are important for family fun too, right?
If you can convince a child that looking at dusty old things is fun, then you're a better parent than I am. But yes, both countries have museums.
But think of the British Museum. Mummies. Rosetta Stone. Wow. History coming to life right before your eyes.
And in the US, you have dinosaurs. Giant dinosaur skeletons that make mummies look like, well, tiny mummies. Wow, science museums in the US are often interactive and loud.
Loud is fun. Interactive is learning. Oh, imagine touching a dinosaur bone. Whoa.
Careful there, Mira. You might get too excited and try to take one home as a souvenir. Oops, but yes, interactive museums are great for keeping kids engaged, even if it's just pressing buttons.
Buttons are important. Everything is better with buttons. And what about other kinds of entertainment? Like shows?
London's West End, Broadway, and New York both are theater meccas, though ticket prices might require selling a kidney. Ouch!
But think of the magic. The costumes, the singing. Oh, Bagpiper families sing along in a theater.
Or a very expensive nap for the kids, depending on the show. But yes, the theatrical scene is top-notch in both places, if you can afford it.
Family movie nights are essential. Popcorn, big screen, maybe a cartoon or an adventure film. Ah,
American cinemas are legendary for their popcorn buckets the size of small cars. You could practically swim in the butter.
swimming in butter popcorn. Whoa, that sounds intense. Maybe a little too much.
A bit. UK cinemas are more restrained with their popcorn portions. But both show the same movies, usually with a slight delay for the UK, just to build anticipation.
Anticipation is part of the fun. Makes it extra exciting when you finally see it. Ooh, it's like a surprise party for your eyes.
If your eyes like superhero movies and animated sequels, then yes, a surprise party. But both countries definitely cater to family moviegoers.
And what about just the general vibe? Or they're both kid-friendly in everyday life?
In the UK, there's a sense of politeness. People will generally tolerate children in public, as long as they're not too exuberant.
Kids are meant to be exuberant. Running, laughing, maybe a little bit of harmless chaos.
Harmless chaos is a good way to put it. In the US, there's more of a kids are kids attitude. Restaurants and public places are generally more geared towards families being, well, families.
So maybe a bit more relaxed in the US? Less stiff upper lip about a bit of spilled juice?
Definitely less stiff upper lip about spilled juice. More like, here's a giant paper towel roll and a refill, kiddo.
Refills. Always a bonus for families. Oh, keeps everyone happy and hydrated for more adventures.
Hydrated and possibly hyperactive. But yes, both countries have their own ways of being family-friendly, from parks and museums to general attitudes. It really depends on what kind of family adventure you're after.
Adventure is the key. Whether it's royal parks or dinosaur bones, butter popcorn or polite picnics, families are going to have a blast in both places. Ooh.
As long as they pack snacks, patience, and maybe a small first aid kit. Then yes, adventure awaits. Ah,
Our current topic, we compare LGBT-friendly atmospheres in the United Kingdom and the United States. diving into inclusivity, legal protections, and social acceptance. From vibrant pride events. Ooh.
Right, Mira. Pride events. It's like a rainbow exploded, but in a good way mostly. Though sometimes I wonder if some of those corporate floats are truly allies or just chasing the pink pound.
Oh, Leo, you're such a cynic. But seriously, both the UK and the US have these amazing pride celebrations. London and New York prides are legendary, right? Massive. Colorful. Everyone's welcome. Ah!
Welcome, mostly, in theory. In practice, you still get the occasional pro-clutcher muttering under their breath. But yeah, compared to some places, London Pride is like a Mardi Gras for rainbows. Wow, me too. No, finding a decent public toilet at either.
True. The practicalities. But think about the legal side, Leo. The UK legalized same-sex marriage way back in 2013, and the US followed suit in 2015. That's huge, right?
Huge, yes, but way back. Mira, 2013? That's practically yesterday in legal terms. Governments move slower than snails in peanut butter. And in the US, it's federal, but state laws. Still a patchwork. Some states are like love is love, others are like love. Terms and conditions apply.
It's not perfect. But in general, would you say both countries are pretty good places to be LGBT compared to, say, countries where it's still illegal? Wow.
Oh, absolutely. It's like comparing a five-star hotel to a cardboard box in a rainstorm. Both the UK and US have come a long way. Though, sometimes I see news from certain US states and think, are we going backwards now?
Yeah. Those legislative debates can be worrying. But then you see the public support, especially from younger generations. And it gives you hope, doesn't it? Ooh. Like, you see it all over YouTube on social media. People standing up for LGBT rights.
True. The internet, for all its flaws, can be a powerful megaphone for good. And yeah, the youth, they're all right. Less hung up on the old prejudices. Though, they do have some weird fashion trends. But hey, progress. Jet Off AI is all about connecting people, regardless of who they love, right?
Jet Off AI is about bringing people together, and that includes everyone in the LGBT community too. And think about the cultural impact. Leo, from TV shows to movies, you see more and more LGBT representation in both countries.
Representation is good, but sometimes it feels a bit tokenistic. Like, look, we have a gay character. Aren't we progressive? But hey, baby steps, right? At least it's not just the same old straight white dude narratives all the time. Progress, slow and sometimes slightly awkward progress.
Well, awkward progress is still progress. And think about the social scene. So many LGBT bars, clubs, communities in cities like London, Brighton, New York, San Francisco, you can find your tribe. Oh.
Tribes are good, though sometimes those tribes can be a bit cliquey. Ever tried to get into a really trendy gay bar and felt like you needed a secret handshake and a PhD in fashion? But yeah, options are good. Choice is good. Choice is good. Unless you're choosing between a brand's instant coffee. Then it's just depressing.
Oh, Leo. But overall, for someone from a less accepting country, would you recommend the UK or the US as a more LGBT-friendly place to live?
Tricky question. Both have their pluses and minuses. UK has got the NHS, which is a plus for everyone, including LGBT folks needing healthcare. US, well, the US has a bigger portions of food. Seriously though, socially, maybe the UK feels a tad more I don't know, chilled out about it all.
Interesting. Maybe it's the British Reserve. Less drama, more live and let live vibe.
Could be Americans can be louder, more in your face about everything good and bad, which can be great for activism, but also exhausting. Sometimes you just want a quiet pint in a pub where nobody's shouting about anything.
So, maybe it depends on your personality. If you like vibrant activism and big, bold statements, maybe the US. If you prefer a more understated, Get on with it vibe. Maybe the UK.
Yeah, something like that. Both are decent options miles ahead of many places. Just do your research on local laws, healthcare, cost of living, and public toilet availability. Crucial, that last one.
Public toilet availability. The unsung hero of LGBT friendliness. Well, Leo, as always, insightful and hilarious. Thanks for shedding some light on the LGBT atmospheres in the UK and US.
My pleasure, Mira. And remember, folks, if you like this podcast, you know what to do, like subscribe, share it on YouTube, and tell your friends. Especially your LGBT friends who are thinking of moving countries. Maybe point them to Jet Off AI for more info, too.
Our current topic, we compare hospitality and attitudes towards foreigners into countries, uncovering welcoming cultures and regions. Let's talk about rolling out the welcome mat in the UK and the US.
Oh yes, the welcome mat. In the UK, it's probably made of tweed and politely asks you to wipe your feet and mind the gap. In the US, it's probably Texas size and says howdy y'all. Come on, and then supersize your dreams.
Oh, Leo, you're already painting such vivid pictures. I imagine in the UK, it's like, welcome, do come in for a cuppa and to chat about the weather. Terribly sorry if it rains inside. So polite.
Exactly. British hospitality is like a perfectly brewed cup of tea, warm, comforting, and slightly reserved at first. You might get a jolly good welcome, but maybe not a bear hug at arrival. Maybe a very restrained hug.
While in the US, it's more like a huge slice of apple pie, warm, generous, and offered with a massive smile. Well, welcome to America, land of opportunity. Have a great day now. So enthusiastic.
True, Americans are masters of enthusiasm. You could walk into a store looking utterly lost and someone will be like, hey there, how can I make your day amazing? Whoa! Sometimes it's almost TOO amazing, you know.
Maybe in the UK, they'd be like, are you alright? Need a hand? Or perhaps you'd prefer to be left alone to figure it out? Be a bit more reserved, but still helpful in their own way.
Right? British helpfulness is more of the stiff upper lip variety. They'll help you, but they might make you feel slightly inept in the process. Like, of course, you should have known that, but... Here, let me assist you anyway.
But that's part of the charm, isn't it? That understated kindness. While American hospitality is so upfront, so sunshine, why? Oh, we're so happy you're here. Let's be best friends immediately.
Yeah, Americans are fast friends. You can meet someone in line for coffee and 10 minutes later you're invited to their family barbecue. In the UK, making friends is more of a slow burn. It's like building a really good dry stone wall. Takes time but lasts.
So, in the US, it's instant coffee friendship, and in the UK, it's a slow drip artisanal friendship. They're lovely, just different flavors.
Precisely. And attitudes towards foreigners. That's interesting too. In the UK, because it's historically been a melting pot, there's a general sense of we've seen it all before. A kind of worldly weirdness, maybe?
But also curiosity, I think. Like, oh, you're not from around here. Tell me if you're whitey HING. Well, especially if you have an interesting accent.
Accents are currency in the UK. A good for an accent can get you anything from a free pint to a starring role in a BBC drama. Whereas in the US, everyone has an accent, so yours just blends into the beautiful cacophony.
True. In the US, it's more about what can you do. If you're interesting, talented, or can story, people are generally welcoming no matter where you're from.
Definitely they can conquer that. Definitely the can-do spirit of America. If you're contributing, you're A. It's less about your background and more about your hustle. Wow. Although regional attitudes can vary wildly in both countries, can't they?
Hospitality in London might be different from a cozy village in the Cotswold. And New York City is a whole different ballgame compared to, say, a small town in the Midwest.
Try getting a New Yorker to offer you apple pie and a hug on first meeting. you're more likely to get a hey, watch where you're going. But they'll still help you find the best pizza place in town grudgingly.
It's all about knowing where you are and adjusting expectations, isn't it? Both the UK and the US have incredibly welcoming people, just in their own unique styles.
Yep. Whether it's the understated British charm or the full-on American enthusiasm, you're likely to find kindness and help in both places. Just maybe pack an umbrella for the UK, and a slightly thicker skin for New York.
And maybe a phrase book for regional dialects in both. Whoa, just kidding, mostly. But yes, both countries are wonderfully hospitable. Just remember to appreciate the local flavor. Our current topic, we compare internet infrastructure and digital facilities into countries exploring connectivity, innovation, and how quickly you can download cat videos. So Leo, buckle up. We're diving into the digital world of the UK and the US.
Cat videos, Mira. Is that your benchmark for digital progress? Well, alright, let's see if these countries are up to the task of delivering high-speed feline entertainment. But seriously, digital infrastructure, it's like the plumbing of the 21st century, isn't it? If it clogs up, everything else backs up.
And nobody wants a digital blockage, especially when you're trying to stream a live concert from your bathtub. Ooh, let's kick off with the UK, shall we? For a relatively small island, they've actually got a pretty decent broadband network, right?
Decent is the keyword, Mira? Think of it like British, where they're mostly reliable, but occasionally you get a downpour of slow speeds just when you need it least. They've been pushing for fiber rollout, but it's a bit like queuing for afternoon tea takes a while to get to everyone.
Queuing for afternoon tea for fiber broadband. That's a very British analogy, Leo. But you're right. It's not quite the digital Wild West over there. What about the US then? Land of the free and home of the super-fast download.
Super fast in some places, Mira, are more like super patchy in others. The US is HUG, right? The US is HUG, right? So you've got Silicon Valley zipping along at light speed, and then you have rural that might still be considered cutting edge. Whoa, it's like a digital zip code lottery.
A digital zip code lottery. I love it. So, if you're in a swanky New York apartment, you're probably laughing, but if you're trying to run a farm in, say, Montana, you might be waiting for your emails to arrive by carrier pigeon.
Pretty much. Carrier pigeon with a USB stick attached. It's a visual. The US has the innovation hub, sure. But spreading that digital love across such a vast country is a massive challenge. Think of it like trying to water the Sahara Desert with a garden hose.
Watering the Sahara with a garden hose. Oh, Leo, you're on fire today. So, infrastructure-wise, are we talking about more fiber in one place versus another? Or is it a mix of technologies?
It's a technology buffet, Mira, in both places actually. The UK is pushing fiber to the premises, FTTP, they call it, trying to future four things. The US is a bit more of a mixed cable. Broadband is still huge. And they're also getting into 5G, and a big wage those gaps, especially in rural areas.
Shiny and fast. Like something out of a sci-fi movie. Wow, but is it actually making a difference on the ground? Are people in both countries feeling the speed boost?
In the cities, definitely. 5G is becoming a real game changer for mobile connectivity, especially in the US. In the UK, they're rolling it out, but planning permissions and all that British bureaucracy can. Slowing things down. It's like trying to get a rock concert permit in a library.
A rock concert permit in a library. Are you killing me, Leo? So, when it comes to digital facilities beyond just internet speed, like data centers and tech hubs, who's leading the charge?
Well, the US is still the undisputed king of the data center. Think of those massive server farms in places like Virginia and Oregon. They're like the digital Fort Knox. Wow, the UK is catching up, especially around London, which is a major financial hub, but the scale is just different.
Digital Fort Knox. That's where all our cat videos are kept safe, right? So innovation-wise, Are both countries equally buzzing with new tech ideas, or is one a bit more innovative than the other?
Innovation is in the DNA of both, Mira, but they have different flavors. The US has that Silicon Valley, move fast and break things vibe, pushing boundaries, sometimes recklessly. The UK is maybe a bit more considered, more about refining and applying existing tech, often in areas like fintech and AI.
Fast and break things versus considered innovation. That's a great way to put it, Leo. So, if someone wants to launch the next big tech startup, where should they set up shop? London or San Francisco?
Oh, that's the million-dollar question. San Francisco, or Silicon Valley really, still has that magnetic pull for pure tech startups. The venture capital, the ecosystem. But London is becoming a real contender, especially for fintech, and it's arguably a bit more livable. And maybe slightly less outrageously expensive. Slightly.
Less outrageously expensive. In London? That's a good one, Leo. But okay, point taken. London is catching up. What about digital skills then? Are people in both countries equally digitally savvy?
Generally, yeah. Both the UK and the US have pretty digitally literate populations. But again, it's not uniform. You see digital divides in both countries, often along age and socioeconomic lines. Getting everyone online and digitally skilled is still a work in progress.
Sadly, are everywhere, aren't they? It's not just about having the infrastructure, but also making sure everyone can actually use it effectively. So, what's the takeaway, Leo? Digital duel UK versus US, who wins?
It's not really a duel, Mira, more of a digital dance-off. Both countries are major players, each with their strengths and weaknesses. The US has scale and raw innovation power. The UK has a solid, if sometimes slow, infrastructure pushing growing tech hubs. It depends what you're looking for, really.
A digital dance-off. I can picture it now, servers doing the tango. So, if in judging this dance-off, I'd say it's a tie. Both are doing their digital thing, just in different styles.
I think that we can time that. I think that's fair, Mira. A friendly tie in the digital infrastructure and facilities category. Both have their digital grooves, just different tempos. Oh, and hey, at least we can watch cat videos in both, right?
And that, my friends, is the most important metric of all. Speaking of metrics and digital stuff, you can always check out Jed Faye for more comparisons and details. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more of these digital dance-offs.
Spot on, Mira. Jed AI, your go-to for all things country comparison. And yes, please do like and subscribe on YouTube if you're enjoying our digital banter. Right, what's next on the agenda? Perhaps we should compare their digital etiquette? Do people in the UK use differently than in the US?
Digital etiquettes. Emojis. Now you're talking my language, Leo. Let's save that for another episode, shall we? But for now, that's a wrap on internet infrastructure and digital facilities. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Indeed. Thanks for listening, folks. And remember, stay digitally connected, but don't forget to unplug sometimes too. And maybe, just maybe, send us your favorite cat video link in the comments.
All right, Leah. Speaking of spending money, because that's what we're good at, let's dive into shopping opportunities and price-performance balance. In the UK and the US. I mean, who doesn't love a good shopping spree? Right? Oh.
Mira, spending money is my cardio. But seriously, shopping is a cultural experience, isn't it? Let's see if the Brits and the Americans are shopping in the same universe or if they're on different planets. So, who gets the gold medal for best shopping experience?
First off, the UK High Street. It's like stepping into a movie set, especially around Christmas. All those charming shops, department stores like Harrods, it's got that classic, almost fairy tale vibe. Wow, you can practically feel yourself becoming posh just walking down it.
Posh? Mira, last time you tried to be posh, you ordered tea with your burger. But I get what you mean. The UK High Street is definitely iconic. It's like history with price tags. But is it actually good value for money? That's the real question.
Value for money. That's where things get interesting. In the UK, you might pay a bit more, but sometimes you feel like you're getting quality, you know? Like a Goodwill coat from Mark Spencer. It'll probably last longer than my last relationship. And those charity shops. You can find vintage treasures for practically pennies. Ooh,
Ah, charity shops, the UK's version of treasure hunting. I once found a velvet smoking jacket and one for £5. I looked like a confused magician at a car boot sale, but... But yeah, generally, the UK can feel a bit pricier, especially if you're comparing it to the land of megamalls and discounts. Which is it?
America. Land of the free and high road, the outlet mall. Wow, seriously, the US is like, we have everything, and we have it on sale all the time. You can find everything from electronics too. Like, a year's supply of paper towels in one giant store. It's almost overwhelming. Wow.
Overwhelming is an understatement, Mira. American malls are like small cities. You could get lost for days and emerge with enough stuff to furnish a small country. And the sales. Black Friday, Cyber Monday is like the whole country goes in discount frenzy. Whoa.
Discount frenzy is right. It's like a sport. You gotta be strategic, plan your route, maybe even wear elbow pads. But that's the fun of it, isn't it? Finding a killer deal and feeling like you've won the shopping Olympics. Go!
The Shopping Olympics. I love it. Maybe we should make that an actual event for Jet Off AI. The Jet Off AI shopping games may the best deal hunter win. But back to the US. Yeah, you can get some amazing bargains. Electronics especially can be way cheaper there than in the UK.
Electronics, clothes, sometimes I feel like I can buy a whole new wardrobe in the US for the price of one outfit in London. Boops. But then again, maybe the quality isn't always the same. Like, you get what you pay for, right?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Price versus performance. In the US, you can get things cheap and cheerful, but maybe they won't last forever. In the UK, you might pay more upfront, but it might be an investment piece. It's like fast fashion versus slow fashion, but if for everything.
Exactly. It's a shopping philosophy. Do you want quantity and instant gratification, or quantity and longevity? I guess it depends on your personality. Are you a buy it now, or at once kind of person? Or a buy it well? Love it forever kind of shopper?
Personally, I'm somewhere in the middle. I like a good bargain, but I also appreciate something well made. Like, I'll buy a cheap t-shirt, but I'll invest in a decent coffee machine. Priorities, you know? What about you, Mira? Are you a high street hunter or a mall marathon runner?
Oh, I'm a bit of both. I love the charm of the UK high street for a wander and a browse, especially for unique little gifts. But when I'm serious about shopping, I'm heading to a US mall, armed with my credit card and a dream. It's like two different shopping personalities.
Two shopping personalities into different countries. It's like we're living a double shopping life. So, for our listeners on YouTube and those reading our articles on Jet Off AI, what's the verdict? UK for charm and maybe quality, US for variety and deals. Is that a fair summary?
I think that's pretty spot on. If you're after a shopping experience that feels like a lovely afternoon stroll with a touch of history, go UK. If you want a full-on, adrenaline-pumping, bargain-hunting adventure, US all the way. Wow. And hey, don't forget to like if you're enjoying our shopping wisdom.
Shopping wisdom. Coming to you live from the people who probably spend too much money. But yeah, seriously, hit that like button, subscribe, and tell us in the comments where do I owe you prefer to shop, UK or US? And for even more comparisons and travel tips, jet on over to Jet Off AI. Aha!
Yes, Jet Off AI is your ultimate guide to, well, jetting off. And shopping apparently. So, that's shopping opportunities and price performance balance UK versus US. A tale of two very different shopping carts.
Indeed. From charity shop chic to outlet mall madness, we've covered it all. Right, Mira? What's next on our comparative adventure? let's not spend all our imaginary money in one go.
Our current topic, we compare cultural events, festivals, and concert opportunities into countries, spotlighting the UK and the US. Ooh, get ready for transatlantic culture clash, folks.
Culture clash? More like a culture mosh pit? Let's be honest, both the UK and the US are hardly wallflowers when it comes to putting on a show. It's more about which flavor of chaos you prefer.
Think of the UK, Leo. Land of Glastonbury. Mad music and questionable fashion choices all rolled into one glorious weekend. You can't get more culturally British than that, can you?
Glastonbury? Right. Well, you need to be prepared for all four seasons in an afternoon, and your wellies are your most prized possession. Sounds like a charming way to catch pneumonia and hear some music, Mira.
Oh, come on, Leo. It's iconic. And think of Edinburgh Fringe Festival. Comedy. Theatre. Street performers, it's like the whole city turns into a giant stage. Wow, you can stumble upon theatrical genius while buying a bag of chips.
Chips? You mean fries, Mira? Ah, it's a glorious month where every pub becomes a venue and you're never quite sure if the person talking to you is a comedian or just slightly unhinged. It's an experience.
But that's the beauty of it. Surprise. And don't forget the palms in London. Classical music in Hyde Park. Picnics, flags waving its pure British summer elegance. Ah, so civilized.
Civilized until someone spills their pims on your blanket during the 1812 overture. Oops, the proms are lovely, I'll give you that. But let's not pretend the UK is all cucumber sandwiches and refined culture, Mira.
But we do festivals with a certain quirky charm, wouldn't you agree? Like, where else do you get cheese rolling competitions or bog snorkeling championships?
Bog snorkeling, seriously? That's certainly unique. Though I suspect the main cultural event in some parts of the UK is still just arguing about the weather.
Hey, the weather is a national conversation starter. It's practically an art form. But let's not forget the music scene, Leo. From rock legends to pop icons, the UK has given the world so much. Wow.
True. The UK music scene is legendary. But then you look across the pond, Mira. And you've got the US. Coachella, Lollapalooza, South by Southwest, these are just festivals. They're cultural juggernauts.
Juggernauts of dust and flower crowns, perhaps. Coachella does look amazing, I admit. All those influencers in the desert posing in front of Ferris wheels. It's a spectacle.
Spectacle is the word, Mira. American festivals are about scale, about making everything bigger, louder, more Instagrammable. It's a different kind of energy. And let's not forget the sheer variety.
Oh, tell me more. Is it all just giant music festivals and county fairs with prize-winning pumpkins?
Pumpkins? That's just Thanksgiving prep, Mira. Think about it, just fest in New Orleans, celebrating music and food with a serious party vibe. Oh, or Burning Man, if you want something truly alternative.
Burning Man. Now that's a festival where the fashion choices are even more questionable than Glastonbury. but completely different way, of course. More Mad Max chic.
Mad Max meets well. I'm not entirely sure what Burning Man is meets, Mira. But it's definitely something. And then you have things like Mardi Gras in New Orleans or the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. The US does big very well. Wow.
Giant, colorful balloons floating in the desert sky. That actually sounds rather magical, Leo. Maybe less mud, more hot air?
Less mud, definitely. Though you might still get some dust. And let's not forget Broadway, Mira. New York City is a theater mecca. You want cultural events, you can spend a lifetime just on Broadway.
Sparkling lights, show-stopping numbers, and ticket prices that make your eyes water. But yes, a Broadway show is a must-do American cultural experience. Like eating apple pie and watching a baseball game, right?
Apple pie baseball, and a musical about cats. Classic Americana, Mira. But the US music scene is just as diverse as the UK's, in its own way. From country music scene is just to hip-hop extravaganzas, they've got it all covered.
Country music festivals, cowboy hats, pickup trucks, and songs about heartbreak and beer. I'm picturing it now. Very different from a rainy field in Somerset, wouldn't you say?
Slightly different vibe, yes. They'll both probably involve a fair amount of hydration. Of different kinds, naturally. But the point is, Mira, both countries are overflowing with cultural events. It just depends what you're in the mood for.
If you want quirky and muddy, go UK. If you want big and bold, go US. Though personally, I'm always up for a good gun dance festival wherever it is. Ooh, maybe we should check out some festivals for Jet Off AI and put together a travel guide.
A festival travel guide on Jet Off AI. Not a bad idea, Mira. We could rate them on mud to glamour ratio, or maybe absurdity level. Plenty of material there. That's for sure.
I love it, Leo. We could have a whole scale. From slightly silly to completely bonkers. And we could ask our listeners on YouTube to tell us their favorite festivals in the comments.
Good call, Mira. Listeners, hit up the comments on YouTube and tell us your most memorable festival experiences. Maybe even the Muddies to your most Burning Man-esque. We're always looking for new material, you know.
And if you enjoyed this cultural festival face-off, give us a like and subscribe. It helps us keep the podcast going and maybe even afford those pricey Broadway tickets. Oh, you know, for research purposes.
Research, of course, Mira. Purely for research. And be sure to check out Jet Off AI for more travel inspiration. Though maybe pack your wellies or your flower crown, depending on where you're headed.
So, until next time, keep those festival vibes alive, wherever you are. Bye for now.
Later, folks. And remember, whether it's bogs, snorkeling, or Burning Man, embrace the absurdity.
Our current topic. We compare the opportunities and Ds of learning the local language into countries. From a language perspective, this is going to be a wild ride, isn't it, Leo?
Wild ride? Mira, we're talking about English first, English here. It's wild ride and more like slightly different lane on the same highway. Unless we're counting the Queen's English as a totally separate dialect, then maybe it's a roller coaster.
Oh, come, Leo. You know accents can be like totally different languages sometimes. Imagine trying to learn Cockney in London. It's like they're speaking in riddles wrapped in rhymes. And then you come to the States and you've got Southern drawl Boston accents. It's a linguistic adventure. Wow.
Linguistic adventure involving more English. Right. But okay, they'll play along. If you're trying to learn English in the UK, you're basically stepping into the original source. Think of it like Guidely to learn Italian. Except everyone already speaks something very close to what you're trying to learn.
It's like, am I learning English or am I just existing in English? But seriously, the UK is packed with opportunities. You've got language schools everywhere, universities with amazing English programs. Pubs are basically interactive language labs.
Pubs are more like language labs for complaining about the weather and football. But point taken, the UK does have a massive infrastructure for language learning, especially for English. You'll find courses for every level, from can barely say hello to Shakespearean scholar wannabe. Plus, immersion is built in. Walk outside, boom, English. Turn on the telly, bam, English. Accidentally step on someone's foot. Oops, English apology inbound. Ouch.
And think about the cultural immersion. You're relearning English and experiencing British culture, the history. The T, the Q's. Learning to Q properly is a language skill in itself, wouldn't you say? You can visit historical sites, watch West End shows, and chat with locals about, well, anything really.
Chatting with locals about the weather, mostly the weather. But yes, cultural immersion is huge. And for language learners, that's gold. In the US, it's a similar story but with an American twist. Instead of pubs, you've got diners. Language labs serving up coffee and pancakes. Then endless refills of, well, English. But American English, naturally.
Diners as language labs. I love it. Leo, and America, oh my gosh. The sheer variety. You can learn English in New York, surrounded by a million accents, or in California, soaking up the sunshine and surfer slang. It's like choosing your own language learning adventure. Wow, think about all the YouTube channels you could watch to prep.
YouTube is your friend, kids. Seriously, for both the UK and US, YouTube is a goldmine. But back to the US, YouTube is a goldmine. But back to the US, yeah, variety is the spice of linguistic life there. You've got universities galore, community colleges, private language schools, and the American dream vibe if that motivates you to learn English to chase it.
The American dream in English sounds catchy. And don't forget Hollywood. Movies and TV shows alike. The ultimate free language lessons. You can binge watch your way to fluency. Plus, American culture is everywhere. So you're constantly exposed to the language even before you set foot there. Ooh.
True. Pop culture immersion is massive for the US. Everyone has seen American movies, heard American music. It's almost like you're already halfway there before you even start learning. The challenge might be unlearning some of the movie slang when you try to have a serious conversation.
Movie slang is a whole different dialect too. But think about the opportunities for practice. In both the UK and US, English is everywhere. You can strike up conversations at coffee shops and parks. At museums, people are generally pretty open to chatting, especially if they hear you're learning.
Generally open until you ask them to explain cricket rules in the UK or baseball rules in the US. Then their eyes might glaze over. But yeah, practice is everywhere, and that's the key to ease of learning. Immersion, resources, and endless opportunities to butcher the language in public without too much judgment. Mostly.
That's my motto. And for anyone listening who's thinking about learning English in the UK or US, check out Jet Off AI. They've got resources and tips to help you plan your language learning adventure. It's like your personal language learning travel agent. Wow.
Shameless plug, Mira. I love it. But yes, Jet Off AI is there to help you navigate the sometimes confusing world of English in English-speaking countries. Because apparently it's complicated.
It's hilariously complicated. And that's what makes it fun. So, grab your dictionary or phrasebook, maybe a raincoat if you're heading to the UK, and get ready to dive into the wonderful world of English. Oh!
And maybe a phrasebook for deciphering accents too, just in case. You know, for that wild ride Mira was talking about?
Our current topic. We compare safety and comfort for women travelers into countries. From harassment statistics to cultural attitudes and practical tips, let's see which side of the pond offers a smoother ride for our female globetrotters.
A smoother ride, you say? Well, hopefully not too smooth. They might fall asleep and miss all the sights. But seriously, safety and comfort, crucial topics. I mean, nobody wants their vacation to turn into a real-life crime documentary, right?
So, let's kick off with the UK. Statistically, it's generally considered a safe country, especially for tourists. You can wander around London at night and probably just encounter the occasional tipsy bloke singing off-key, rather than anything truly menacing.
Tipsy blokes singing off-key. But yeah, the kind of nightlife research. But yeah, the UK has that reputation for being relatively safe, though I always wonder if it's because everyone's too polite to commit crimes. Excuse me, man, might I just relieve you of your handbag? You know, that kind of thing.
Rather sorry to bother you, but your jewelry is simply divine. But in all seriousness, the UK does have a pretty robust police presence, especially in cities. And culturally, there's a certain reservedness that might actually contribute to a feeling of safety for women.
Reservedness, yes. It's like everyone's secretly an undercover agent, just observing and judging, but not actually doing anything overtly disruptive. In the US, it's a bit more varied, wouldn't you say? Vast country, different vibes in different states.
The US is like a patchwork quilt of safety levels. New York City might feel pretty secure with all the hustle and bustle, but then you could be in a totally different state and the feeling is, well, different. Oops.
Different as in, did I just accidentally wander into a movie scene where I'm about to be chased by a pickup truck? Seriously though, you got bustle in cities, quieter suburbs, and then, you know, vast open spaces where anything could happen. It's a bit more apps.
A gamble maybe, but also, in the US, there's a stronger emphasis on personal safety and self-defense. You see self-defense classes advertised everywhere, which is perhaps a reflection of a different kind of environment. Wow.
Self-defense classes, right. In the UK, it's more light. Just talk loudly and they'll probably be mortified and run away. In the US, it's learn Krav Maga, just in case you need to disarm someone in a parking lot. Two very different approaches to feeling secure.
Two very different approaches indeed. And culturally, the US has a more assertive, direct vibe, which can be empowering, but also potentially confrontational. It depends on your personality, maybe. Ooh.
Sort of direct, sometimes just plain loud. But yeah, that assertiveness can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, you feel like you can stand up for yourself. On the other hand, everyone else is also standing up for themselves. Sometimes all at once. Well,
It's a bit of a louder, more in your face kind of world in parts of the US. Whereas in the UK, it's more passive-aggressive safety. Like everyone's silently judging potential wrongdoers into submission.
passive-aggressive safety. I love it. It's like the whole country is giving you the stink eye on behalf of women travelers. You wouldn't dare bother her, would you? But when it comes to actual harassment statistics, are there noticeable differences between the two?
Well, statistically, both countries have issues with street harassment. Unfortunately, it's a global problem, sadly. However, studies sometimes suggest that in certain US cities, the perception of street harassment might be higher, possibly due to that more assertive public culture we were talking about.
Perception is key, right? If you feel less safe, even if the statistics are similar, that impacts your comfort level. And comfort is what we're talking about. Nobody wants to spend their vacation constantly looking over their shoulder. Ouch!
And in terms of reporting and dealing with harassment, both countries have systems in place, but they operate differently. In the UK, there's a strong emphasis on police intervention and formal reporting. Aha!
Formal reporting? Paperwork. In the US. That's very British. In the US, it feels like there's more of a push for community-based solutions by standard intervention, and maybe a bit less reliance on formal systems.
That's a good point, Leo. The US definitely seems to encourage more of a see something, say something culture, and there are lots of campaigns promoting bystander intervention, which is great in theory.
In theory, yes. In practice, sometimes saying something in the US can escalate things faster than in the UK, where a well-placed sign might be enough to diffuse a situation. It's all about cultural nuances, isn't it?
It is! And for women travelers, those nuances can make a big difference in how safe and comfortable they feel. So, for general safety perception, it sounds like the UK might edge ahead slightly, just on that feeling of polite, reserved orderliness. Oh.
Polite, reserved orderliness, perfectly British. The US has that assertive, we've got your back vibe in its own way. It really comes down to personal preference and maybe what kind of travel experience you're after. If you want dynamic, self-reliant confidence, maybe the UK. If you want dynamic, self-reliant confidence, maybe the US.
That's a great summary, Leo. Organized versus dynamic confidence. And of course, for more detailed safety tips and travel advice, listeners can always hop over to JotFai, right? Aha!
Absolutely. JetOffA is your digital travel bodyguard. We've got tips, tricks, and probably even some witty safety jokes if you dig deep enough. If you're enjoying this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. We're here to make your travel planning a little less scary and a lot more funny.
Like and subscribe, and maybe we'll even reveal our secret self-defense moves in a future episode. Just kidding. Mostly. But seriously, stay safe and stay tuned. Our current topic, we compare the legal systems, individual rights, and freedoms into countries. From constitutional protection, things get really interesting, right, Leo?
Interesting is one word for it, Mira. More like a legal jungle gym, especially when you compare the UK and the US. One's got a written constitution, the other's like, we have traditions.
They're like the comfy old sweaters of legal systems, Leo. Think of the UK, all those centuries of common law. It's like a really, really long-running TV show that just keeps evolving. Oh,
80s show with no script, Mira. That's the beauty, or maybe the chaos, of the UK system. Parliament's the writer, director, and sometimes the really annoying neighbor who changes the plot every week.
and the US, with its constitution, that's like the ultimate superhero origin story, right? We the people bound, rights declared, villains vanquished, well, theoretically. Wow.
Theoretically is the keyword there, Mira. The US Constitution is like a really old instruction manual that everyone interprets differently, especially when it comes to, say, freedom of speech. It's a battlefield of opinions.
Freedom of speech. In the US, you can pretty much shout anything from a rooftop, even if it's about your neighbor's questionable lawn gnomes. Whoa. In the UK, it's a tad more reserved.
Reserved is polite, Mira. Let's just say in the UK, you might get a polite cough in the raised eyebrow if you start shouting about gnomes. They're more about orderly discourse, which sounds like code for not cause a scene.
So in the US, you can say almost anything, but in the UK, you can say anything, just maybe whisper it politely. It's like the difference between a rock concert and a very quiet library reading.
Exactly. And individual rights in the US are like, here's a whole buffet, help yourself. The Bill of Rights, amendments galore. It's like a rights explosion.
That sounds exciting, Leo. Like a party where everyone gets a right as a party favor. But in the UK, are rights more subtly implied?
Subtly implied, woven into the fabric of law and precedent like a really nice but understated tapestry. They have the Human Rights Act, but it's not quite the same bold declaration as the Bill of Rights. More like a gentle suggestion.
The US is shouting rights from the rooftops, and the UK is politely suggesting them in Parliament. Both get the job done, just with very different styles.
Different styles indeed. And when it comes to legal processes, the US is all about due process, lots of procedures, and maybe a dramatic courtroom scene or two. Think Hollywood.
Hollywood courtroom drama. Wow, I can just picture it now, Leo. Lawyers dramatically pointing fingers, surprise witnesses. Is the UK more understated courtroom drama? Like a BBC period piece.
More like a BC documentary, Mira. Less finger-pointing, more quiet deliberation and wigs. Wigs are very important for British courtroom drama. You know, adds gravis.
Wigs. Of course. Wigs definitely add gravitas. So, in the US, it's all about the show, and in the UK, it's all about the wig. Just kidding, Leo.
Hey, mostly kidding, Mira. But seriously, the US system is built on checks and balances, separation of powers, all that good stuff. It's designed to make sure no one gets too powerful, which is admirable in theory.
Sounds like a really complicated dance routine, Leo. And important, right? To keep everyone in step and nobody tripping over power.
Tripping over power is a good analogy, Mira. The UK system with parliamentary sovereignty is more like, well, Parliament is pretty powerful. They can basically make or unmake any law, which is efficient, if a bit centralized.
Centralized. So, in the US, power is spread out like a buffet, and in the UK, it's more like a set menu chosen by Parliament. Both have the pros and cons, I guess.
Pros and cons indeed. Individual freedoms in the US are often seen as fiercely protected, especially things like gun rights, which are a whole other conversation.
Gun rights. Whoa. Definitely a hot topic, Leo. In the US, it's like the right to bear arms. Very dramatic. In the UK, not so much.
In the UK, it's more like the right to politely request not to be shot. Gun control is significantly stricter, shall we say. It's a very different cultural landscape.
Different landscapes indeed. So, in the US, sometimes means a lot of freedom. Even the freedom to own a whole arsenal. And in the UK, freedom means feeling safe walking down the street without worrying about an all.
Something like that, Mira. And when it comes to other freedoms like protest and assembly, both countries have traditions of free expression, but again, different styles.
Different styles again. The US protest style is, let's say, enthusiastic. Big marches, signs, sometimes a bit shouty. Whoa.
Shouty is a good word, Mira. The US protest scene can be quite vibrant. The UK protest style is often more organized, maybe a bit more restrained. Think banners, chants, but less spontaneous combustion.
Spontaneous combustion? Love it, Leah. So, US protests are like fireworks, and UK protests are like a well-choreographed parade. Both get the message across, just with different levels of volume.
Volume is key, Mira. And ultimately, both systems aim to uphold individual rights and freedoms, just through different legal paths and cultural lenses. One's a sprawling forest, the other's a carefully manicured garden.
A sprawling forest versus a manicured garden. Beautifully put, Leo. So, whether you prefer the wild freedom of the forest or the orderly charm of the garden, both the US and UK offer their own versions of legal systems and rights. Ahaha.
Exactly, Mira. And if you want to delve deeper into the legal undergrowth of either country, you can always check out JetOff AI for more resources. Just don't get lost in the legal jungle.
Don't get lost in the legal jungle. Good advice, Leo. And if you enjoyed this little comparison of legal styles, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Maybe even leave a comment about which legal garden or forest you prefer. Our current topic. Let's dive into spas, healthy living, and relaxation opportunities in the UK and the US. I'm already feeling relaxed just saying it.
Relaxation, huh? Sounds suspiciously like nap time, Mira. But alright, let's talk spas. In the UK, I picture stately homes with sprawling gardens turned into spa retreats.
Oh, you're picturing it perfectly, Leo. Think grand manor houses, maybe a bit of history, and definitely that countryside escape vibe. They're all about that tranquil, get away from the city stress kind of relaxation. Imagine sipping tea in a garden after a massage, surrounded by rolling hills. Ooh.
Rolling hills and tea. Very civilized. In the US, I'm picturing something a bit more intense. Like wellness boot camps in the desert where they make you drink green juice at sunrise in high-cut mountains. Ouch, is that a stereotype? Or is there truth to it?
Okay, yeah, maybe a little bit of truth. The US definitely has that go dish culture. Think yoga retreats in California, maybe some very intense fitness classes. Definitely a focus on results. It's like relaxation, but you gotta earn it first with a super workout.
Earned relaxation, that's very American, isn't it? Work hard, play hard, relax harder. So, in the UK, is it more about gentle strolls and cucumber sandwiches?
Cucumber sandwiches might be on the menu. But seriously, the UK's spa scene often blends traditional treatments with modern techniques. You might find aromatherapy. Maybe some seaweed drops, very natural, very holistic. Think rejuvenation rather than transformation.
Rejuvenation versus transformation. I like that. So, US spas, are they all about the latest tech and gadgets? Like cryo chambers and oxygen facials?
Cryo chambers might be a bit extreme for your taste, Leo. But yeah, the US often leans into innovation. You'll find cutting-edge skincare, laser treatments, and all sorts of high-tech wellness gadgets. It's like they're saying relaxation, but make it science.
Relaxation, but make it science. That's going straight into my stand-up routine, Mira. So, what about healthy eating? Is it kale smoothies in the US and fish and chips in the UK? Just kidding, mostly.
Fish and chips are a national treasure. But in the UK, healthy eating is definitely on the rise. You'll find farm-to-table restaurants, lots of emphasis on fresh, local produce, and a growing interest in vegan and vegetarian options. It's becoming less about guilty pleasures and more about wholesome goodness. Ooh.
Sounds lovely and slightly virtuous. In the US, healthy eating is like a whole industry, isn't it? Every diet imaginable, from paleo to catainable. Wow!
Breatharianism might be pushing it, even for the US, Leo. But you're right, there's a huge focus on diet culture. You'll find every kind of health food store, organic markets galore, and a massive supplement industry. It's like healthy eating, but make it a lifestyle, and maybe a bit competitive.
Competitive healthy eating. Only in America. So, where would you go to really unwind in each place? For a true escape?
In the UK, it'd head to the Cotswold or the Lake District. Imagine a cozy cottage with a fireplace, long walks in nature, maybe a pub lunch after a hike. Pure, unadulterated tranquility. You can even find amazing wellness retreats tucked away in those areas.
Cotswold District noted. For the US, maybe Big Sur in California? Dramatic coastline, redwood forests. You could do yoga overlooking the Pacific. Sounds pretty zen.
Big Sur is definitely a strong contender. Or maybe Sedona in Arizona, with those stunning red rock formations. Very spiritual, very grounding. You could do a meditation retreat under the desert stars. Oh!
Meditation under desert stars sounds a bit too new age for me, Mira. Give me a good old-fashioned pub quiz after a hike any day. But I see your point. Both countries offer escapes, just different flavors of escape.
The UK offers that classic, understated relaxation, think gentle countryside history, and a sense of calm. The US offers a more dynamic approach. Think stunning natural landscapes, cutting-edge wellness, and maybe a bit of push-yourself attitude.
Dynamic relaxation. I'm going to trademark that. So if someone is watching us on YouTube and trying to decide between a UK or US wellness trip, what's your quick advice?
If you want cozy, historical charm and gentle rejuvenation, UK spas are calling your name. If you're after cutting-edge treatments, dramatic scenery, and a bit more of a wellness challenge, the US might be your spot.
Challenge accepted? Maybe I need to try one of those US wellness boot camps just to say I did it. Though, honestly, you'd probably just end up sneaking off for coffee and donuts. Oops.
Leo, donuts are not part of the wellness boot camp plan. But hey, balance is key, right? Maybe a green juice in the donut? You can find all kinds of travel inspiration, including wellness retreats on Jet-Off-A. By the way...
Shameless plug, Mira. But yes, Jet-Off-AI is the place to go for all your travel needs, including figuring out which kind of relaxation suits you best UK countryside or US wellness challenge.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're enjoying this spot talk. Maybe it's relaxing just to listen to us? Ooh.
Relaxing or mildly irritating depending on your taste. But seriously, thanks for tuning in, folks. Hopefully, we've given you some food for thought or maybe spa for thought.
Leo, you're on fire today. And a big thank you to Jet-Off-A for supporting our podcast and maybe even sponsoring our next pot rip. Hint, hint.
One can only dream, Mira. But for now, back to reality. Next topic, maybe we should compare nightlife in London and New York. Talk about intense relaxation from dancing all night.
Our current topic, we compare opportunities for religious and spiritual needs into countries. From diverse places of worship to meditation retreats. Both the UK and the US have a lot to offer, right?
Opportunities for religious and spiritual needs, Mira. Sounds like we're about to sell enlightenment like it's on Amazon Prime. But yeah, both places have churches and, yoga studios. Is that spiritually needy enough?
Leo, you're so funny. But seriously, think about it. In the UK, you've got ancient cathedrals that are absolutely stunning, like stepping back in time. Wow. And in the US, you have everything from megachurches to tiny chapels in the woods. It's like a spiritual buffet.
A spiritual buffet, served with a side of capitalism, I presume. In the US, you can practically order your religion online and have it delivered by drone. Don't forget to donate now, but then for maximum spiritual growth. The UK, on the other hand, still has those old stone churches that look like they've seen a ghost or two. Or 10.
But the history is part of the charm, Leo. Imagine being in a cathedral in England that's been around for centuries, feeling all that history and you know good vibes. And in the US, the variety is amazing. You can find a Buddhist temple next to a synagogue next to a mosque. How cool is that? How cool is that?
Cool if you like spiritual traffic jams, maybe. In the UK, you might trip over a gargoyle in some old church. And in the US, you're more likely to trip over someone handing out pamphlets for a New Age crystal healing seminar. Both are equally enlightening. Huh.
Okay, you were teasing. But think about the spiritual retreats you can find in both countries. In the UK, you have beautiful countryside retreats for mindfulness and meditation. In the US, you can find everything from silent meditation retreats in California to shamanic journeys in Arizona. Well,
Shamanic journeys in Arizona sounds like a good way to spend your tax refund. In the UK, a spiritual retreat might just be a weekend in a damp cottage in Wales, contemplating the meaning of drizzle. But, hey, at least it's quiet.
quiet can be good for the soul, Leo. And in the US, you can find incredibly diverse spiritual communities. From Quaker meetings to Pentecostal churches, there's a place for everyone to connect with their faith, whatever it may be. Oh, it's all about finding your tribe, right?
Finding a tax-exempt organization. In the UK, the Church of England is still kicking around, even if half the congregation is probably pigeons. But yeah, both countries offer us more to spiritual flavors from the ancient does to the shiny and new. Just depends on if spiritual flavors from the ancient new. Just depends on if you prefer your spoon biscuits or a mega-sized soda.
Tea and biscuits or a mega-sized soda. You always find a funny way to put it, Leo. But really, for anyone looking to explore their faith or spirituality, both the UK and the US have a lot to offer. It's all about personal preference and what resonates with you.
Personal preference and a hefty dose of personal interpretation. Whether you're after gothic grandeur or a drum circle under the desert stars, you'll find your spiritual fix in either place. Just remember to check the Yelp reviews for your chosen guru.
Our current topic, we compare social equality, respect for minorities, and diversity into countries. From initial glances, both the UK and the US seem like melting pots, right?
Melting pots, or maybe more like, a really complicated recipe where some ingredients are still simmering on the side, Mira. You know, like when you try to make a dish and suddenly realize you forgot to chop the onions.
Hey, Leo. Love the cooking analogy. So, in the UK, you've got centuries of history with different groups settling in. It's like a very layered cake.
Some layers might be a bit stale, Mira. I mean, let's be honest, the British Empire wasn't exactly a diversity and inclusion workshop.
True. But nowadays, you see a real mix in cities like London or Birmingham. People from all over the Commonwealth, Europe. Wow.
Yeah, London's so diverse, you can probably find a decent curry place on every corner. Which, as a food enthusiast, I fully endorse. Does diverse automatically mean equal, Mira?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it, Leo? In the UK, they have laws against discrimination, race relations acts, all that jazz. On paper, it looks pretty good.
On paper, my stand-up routine looks hilarious too, Mira. But, I get on stage and well, sometimes the audience just stares back. Point is, laws are great, but attitudes, those are great, but attitudes, those are trickier.
And in the US, it's like diversity is baked into their origin story, right? Give me you're tired, you're poor, and all that. Wow. Except, maybe they didn't always mean everyone equally.
Except certain groups need not apply was probably the small print, Mira. You know, the land of opportunity, but some folks got a head start, and others are still stuck at the starting line.
Ouch! Ow! Again, hitting the nail on the head, Leo. But think about the civil rights movement, all the progress they've made in the US. That's pretty inspiring.
Inspiring, yes. Finished, not so much. You still see racial disparities in the US, income gaps, all sorts of inequalities. It's like they're running a marathon, but some people are carrying lead weight.
Grim, but accurate. Leo. And in the UK, you class issues that are still super ingrained, right? Like, where you went to school, your accent. It can still define you.
Oh, accent. In the UK, forget about social equality. It's a whole comedy routine in itself. Mira. Oh, Yuri from there. Fancy. Or, oh, that accent. Bless your heart.
Yeah, Yuri terrible. But kind of true. And both countries have ongoing debates about immigration, about national identity, about who belongs. Aha! It's like a never-ending conversation.
A conversation that sometimes sounds more like an argument at a family dinner, Mira. Lots of passionate opinions, not always a lot of listening.
And when it comes to minority rights, both countries have faced criticism, right? Treatment of indigenous populations, treatment of immigrants, all that. Whoa!
History books in both places probably skip over a few awkward chapters, Mira. You know, the bits where they weren't exactly handing out human rights awards.
But progress is happening, slowly but surely, hopefully. People are pushing for more equality, for more representation, for more respect.
Yeah, people are talking, people are marching, people are occasionally yelling at each other on Twitter. But at least the conversation is happening, right?
Messy is better than silence, I guess. And diversity in itself is a strength, isn't it? All those different perspectives, different cultures enriching society.
Diversity is like a spice rack, Mira. Too much of one spice, and the dish is ruined. But the right mix, magnificent. The trick is getting the right mix, and making sure everyone gets a taste.
I love it, Leo. So, UK and US. Earth Kitchens are still experimenting with the recipe. It sounds like, work in progress.
Definitely a work in progress, Mira. And maybe a podcast topic we should revisit in a few years to see if the dish is cooking up nicely. Or if it's still a bit undercooked.
Our current topic, we compare taxation, retirement, and social rights for long-term immigrants. It's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? Sounds like we're about to dive into some seriously thrilling paperwork.
Thrilling paperwork. Mira, you make it sound like we're choosing paint colors for a tax form. But yeah, for anyone thinking of moving long-term, especially from far away, this stuff is crucial. It's not just about the weather, is it?
Sunshine is great, Leo, but it doesn't pay the bills or fund your retirement dreams of, I don't know, earning a lump farm. Ooh, so let's start with taxes, because everyone loves taxes, right? In the UK, if you move there and become a resident, you're generally taxed on your worldwide income.
Worldwide income? Wow. Sounds like they want to tax you on that lemonade stand you ran when you weren't in. It's pretty similar in the US, Mira. If you become a resident alien for tax purposes, Uncle Sam wants a piece of your global pie too. They're not shy about reaching into your pockets. Let me tell you.
Not shy at all. And in the UK, you've got income tax, national insurance. It's like a whole alphabet soup of deductions. But it does fund things like the NHS, which, you know, is free at the point of use. Something to consider.
Free healthcare, that's the big selling point, isn't it? In the US, healthcare is more like pay-per-view. Ouch. You might get a bill that makes your eyes water more than chopping onions. But, hey, at least you get to choose your deductible from a menu the size of a phone book.
Don't even get me started. But back to the UK, they also have things like council tax depending on where you live. It's for local services. Think garbage collection, not royal banquets.
Council tax sounds almost quaint. In the US, we have property taxes, state income taxes, sales taxes. It's like a layer cake of official responsibility. And if you forget to pay any of them, well, let's just say the taxman doesn't send you a friendly postcard.
Definitely not friendly postcards. Let's move on to retirement then. In the UK, there's the state pension, which most people contribute to through national insurance. It's not going to make you a millionaire, but it's a base to build on.
The state pension, like a cozy financial blanket to keep you just about warm in your old age. In the US, we have Social Security, which is kinda similar, but also not really. It's more like a threadbare shawl in a blizzard. You really need to have your own retirement savings on top, folks.
And in the UK, you can also have private pensions, workplace pensions, lots of options to boost your retirement pot. It's encouraged, to save for your future self who wants to travel the world and maybe still buy that llama farm.
Llama farm dreams are universal, Mira. In the US, we have 401ks and IRAs. All these acronyms that basically mean, please save your own darn money for retirement because we're not covering everything. It can be a bit overwhelming figuring it all.
Overwhelming indeed. And then there are social rights. In the UK, there's a pretty strong social safety net. Things like unemployment benefits, support for families, it's there if you need it. Oh.
A safety net. That's a nice way to put it. In the US, our social safety net is more like a loosely woven hammock with holes in it. Oops. There are programs, but they're often patchy and less comprehensive. Let's just say, self-reliance is a big thing here.
Self-reliance, yes. But in the UK, things like maternity and paternity leave are generous compared to the US. They really value family time. It seems.
Family time is great if you can afford it. In the US, paid family leave as well. Let's just say it's not a federal guarantee. It's more of a maybe if your employer is feeling generous situation. Whoa.
Indeed. And disability benefits in the UK are also designed to provide support if you can't work due to illness or disability. Again, part of that safety net.
Disability benefits in the US exist, but navigating the system can be like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. It's not always straightforward or easy to access.
Not straightforward at all. So, when it comes to taxation, retirement, and social rights for long-term immigrants, both the UK and the US have their complexities. It's not a simple one is better than the other situation, is it?
Nope, it's not a simple choice between fish and chips or a burger. Each country has its pros and cons. Its tax quirks and social safety nets or lack thereof in some areas. It really depends on what you value most and what your personal circumstances are.
If you value a strong social safety net and free healthcare at the point of use, the UK might appeal. If you prefer lower taxes overall, maybe the US could be more attractive, even with the healthcare costs. It's a trade-off.
A trade-off, like choosing between a rainy day with Social Security or sunny skies with a potential medical bankruptcy. Okay, maybe I'm being a bit dramatic, but you get the idea. Do your homework, folks. This is serious stuff, even if we're making jokes about it.
Totally serious. Non-joke filled details, remember to check out Jet Off AI. They've got tons of info to help you plan your moves, wherever you're thinking of going.
Jet Off AI, your guide to not getting financially lost in translation. And hey, if you found this chat even remotely helpful or funny, hit that like button and subscribe. Maybe we can make taxes entertaining after all.
Entertaining taxes. Now there's a challenge. But seriously, thanks for tuning in, everyone. And Leo, try not to scare people too much about the taxman.
Scare tactics are part of my charm, Mira. Just keeping it real with a comedic twist. Until next time, folks. And remember, laughter might not pay your taxes, but it sure makes dealing with them a lot less painful.
Alright, Leo. Let's dive into the super specific stuff now, shall we? Topic 31, the rate of meeting specific interests. Ooh! Think fish hobbies, quirky clubs, the kind of thing where you're like, does anyone else even like competitive rolling?
Competitive cheese rolling. Mira, you've been watching too much YouTube again. But yeah, niche interests, that's where things get truly interesting. For some folks, the mainstream is just a mainstream, right? They need their underwater basket weaving society or their historical reenactment group for 17th century tax collectors.
And when you think about the Yukai and the UI's Yukai in the US, you kinda wonder which one's the king or queen of niche. My gut says both are pretty amazing, but in totally different ways, right? Like, the UK feels like it has a centuries-old knitting circle for every village, and the US is Comic-Con for everything.
Comic-Con for everything, that's surprisingly accurate. The US, it's like if you can dream it, you can find a convention for dog fashion shows, competitive beard grooming, taxidermy enthusiasts, you name it. There's probably a weekend-long event with cosplay and overpriced merchandise.
Dog fashion shows. Imagine the outfits. But seriously, the US, it's HUGE, right? So just by sheer size, you're gonna find pockets of people super into, like collecting vintage bottle caps from 1952 soda brands. Well, and they'll have online forums and everything.
Oh, absolutely. The internet amplifies everything in the US, including the weird and wonderful. You can find your tribe of vintage bottle cap aficionados, no matter how obscure, thanks to the power of the web and, let's be honest, a slightly unhealthy obsession with collecting things.
But the UK, it feels different. More grounded, maybe. Like, instead of online forums, they have actual physical clubs that meet in pubs. Imagine joining the Guild of Asparagus Enthusiasts and having actual asparagus-themed pub nights. Ooh.
The Guild of Asparagus Enthusiasts, I can just picture it, tweed jackets, monocles discussing the merits of different asparagus varieties over pints of bitter. The UK does have that amazing history of clubs and societies for everything. It's like they codified niche interests centuries ago.
And it's not just old-fashioned stuff. Think about the Doctor Who fandom in the UK. It's practically our national religion. They have convention meetups, quizzes in pubs as intense. Wow. And so wonderfully British in its dedication.
Oh, the Who via NS. They're a force of nature armed with sonic screwdrivers and an encyclopedic knowledge of every episode since 1963rd. The UK definitely fosters a deep, passionate fandom culture, often tied to things with a strong national eye. Dare I say it, cricket?
Of course. That's like the ultimate niche sport to outsiders, but in the UK, it's HUG. And think of all the local cricket clubs, the village greens, the whole vibe. It's a whole world of specific interest right there.
Cricket, a game that can last for days and still end in a draw. But yes, it's a cornerstone of British culture, with layers upon layers of tradition and niche sub in it, from village cricket to county championships. It's a whole universe.
So, in the US, you might find a massive, flashy convention about, say, superheroes with thousands of people, right? But in the UK, it might be a smaller, cozier gathering, maybe in a community hall. All about, like, Victorian steampunk superheroes.
Victorian steampunk superheroes, now you're talking. The UK does lean towards the more refined niche, perhaps. Less about the spectacle, more about the deep dive into a very specific area. Big historical societies, literary groups, specialized craft guilds.
And the US, it's more about accessibility, maybe. Like, whatever your niche, no matter how wild, you can probably find a community and resources online. And probably a local group too, especially in big cities. Ooh.
Accessibility is key in the US, absolutely. And scale. Everything in America is bigger, including the niche communities. Whoa. If you're into, say, competitive eating, the US is your promised land. Hot dog eating contests, pie eating contests, watermelon eating contests, it's a competitive eater's buffet of niche gluttony.
That civic interest, for sure. But you're right. The US embraces these, let's say, unconventional passions with open arms out of hot dogs. Ooh.
Unconventional is putting it mildly, Mira. That's part of the American charm, isn't it? That anything goes, and there's a space for everyone, no matter how out there their interests are.
If you're into something super mainstream, both countries are gonna be great, right? Like, if you love movies or music, you're sorted in both the UK and the US. But if you're into something REA, Why specifically? I don't know, collecting antique doorknobs?
Antique doorknobs. Okay, for antique doorknobs. Okay, for antique doorknobs, the UK. They have that whole history of grand old houses in the States and a culture of preserving antiques. You'd probably find a very serious, very knowledgeable do-run-up collecting society somewhere in rural England.
You think so? I was kinda leaning towards the US for doorknobs. Because in the US, you could probably find someone who's built a whole YouTube channel about antique doorknobs, with millions of views, and is selling doorknob-themed merchandise.
So, I think that we can conquer that. Okay, YouTube fame and doorknob merch. That's definitely the American approach. Point taken. The US has the marketing machine to turn even the most obscure hobby into not a mass market, but a very dedicated online market.
So, maybe it's a tie? For meeting specific interests? The UK has depth, history, and charmingly quirky clubs. And the US has scale, accessibility, and the internet to connect everyone no matter how niche they are. Wow.
A tie, aye. It's less about which country is better at meeting specific interests, and more about what kind of niche interest you have, and what kind of community are you looking for.
If you want a cozy, pub-based club with centuries of tradition, maybe the UK is your spot. If you want a massive online community and a weekend convention with merchandise, then the US is calling. Ooh.
Or if you're into competitive cheese rolling, you need to go to Gloucestershire, England. Just saying. Saying. Some niches are geographically specific, no matter how good the internet is.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, let us know in the comments. What super specific interests are you into? And which country do you think caters to it better? We're genuinely curious. Ooh.
Yeah, drop us a comment, and maybe tell us about the weirdest niche interest you've ever encountered. We're always looking for new stand-up material. And remember to check out Jet Off AI for more country comparisons, maybe even one on competitive cheese rolling destinations.
Joe AI is your go-to for all things country comparison. And if you like this podcast, give us a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into, whatever Leo and I decide to argue about next.
Subscribe, like, and tell your friends who are into, historical reenactment of 17th century tax collecting. That were their kind of podcast. Thanks for listening, everyone. Take care.